P2.Transmigrated as the villain, cancelled the engagement with the female lead. Chapter 26, Mu Xue's Invitation. Boss. The man with the flower tattoos gasped, his eyes wide in shock as he stared at the scene before him. For a moment, his mind went blank. Congratulations to their host, you have gained 10,000 plunder points. Done, we're finished. Arfu, let us go. Jiang Bai was quite satisfied with the results of his first shot. He jumped down from the third floor, using his light and nimble body along with his escape skills to land smoothly on the ground. Jiang Xiao, get in the car quickly. A man hurriedly stopped his car in front of Jiang Bai. The sound of the car doors closing was followed by the roar of the engine. With a press of the pedal, the jetter sped off. Search for him, find that sniper. After a brief moment of shock, the man with the tattoos yelled angrily. Unfortunately, by the time he reacted, it was already too late. Jiang Bai and his companions, following the escape route planned by Jiang's father, had already vanished from Chinatown. Linhai City, Jiang's family. Jiang's father sat in his study, staring at the video in front of him, frowning slightly. When did this kid learn how to shoot? Why didn't I know about it? Behind him, a bodyguard in black bent down. Boss, based on the way Jiang Xiao held the gun and his shooting stance, I'm certain his shooting experience is no less than any veteran who has been holding a gun for 10 years. If we go by international standards, Jiang Xiao's skill with firearms is at least elite level, the only thing he lacks is the killing intent. It seems this kid has kept a lot of things from me. Jiang's father muttered to himself, then turned off the video. He glanced at the bodyguard, his expression stern but not angry, and said, "Clear up everything. I don't want anyone to suspect the Jiang family." "I understand, boss." The bodyguard turned and left the study. Jiang Bai's returned to Linhai City. With Tang Long's death, Jiang Bai returned to Linhai City. The only difference was that when he left, he was innocent and clean. But when he returned, there was a life lost on his conscience. With his newfound aura of wealth and power, there was an unmistakable air of danger about him. Jiang family villa. Fang Ling saw Jiang Bai's figure and couldn't wait to rush into his arms. Her joy was palpable as she asked, "President, you're back." Not seeing him for a day felt like 3 years. They had just been intimate, and her mind was still full of thoughts of Jiang Bai. Jiang Bai lowered his head and whispered in her ear. "What, just 1 day without me and you already miss me?" As he finished speaking, Jiang Bai lifted Fang Ling effortlessly and carried her toward the bedroom. Fang Ling, fully aware of what was to come, blushed deeply. Afterward, lying in Jiang Bai's arms, Fang Ling suddenly thought of Mu Xue. She raised her head and gazed affectionately at Jiang Bai. "President, Miss Mu came looking for you last night. Don't worry about her." Jiang Bai didn't care at all. He knew what Mu Xue wanted from him. After all, the Mu family was on the brink of bankruptcy due to his pressure. She likely came to beg him to spare the Mu family. If he were still the original pushover, he would have agreed. But he wasn't. He intended to destroy the Mu family and ensure that Ye Tian had no footing in Linhai City. But I promised Miss Mu that I would go see her when you returned." Fang Ling looked up at him with her big, innocent eyes. "Oh." Jiang Bai suddenly felt a bit speechless. Did Fang Ling not realize that Mu Xue was her rival? "President, could you at least see Miss Mu? Her back looked so lonely." Fang Ling said, her voice full of reluctance and compassion. Jiang Bai's eyes flashed with cold light as his thoughts returned to the original story. In the original version, Mu Xue had no mercy for him or Fang Ling. While enjoying the resources Jiang Bai provided, she secretly helped Ye Tian grow. In the end, she even betrayed Jiang Bai, stabbing him in the back. At that time, Mu Xue showed no mercy or regard for their past. "Fine, I'll go." Jiang Bai finally nodded, hugging Fang Ling. In this world, aside from his parents, Jiang Bai only trusted Fang Ling. As the two of them were wrapped up in their intimacy, dusk arrived. Jiang Bai then realized that his phone hadn't been turned on since he got on the plane. He pulled out his phone, and as soon as he opened it, there were several missed calls. Without exception, all of them were from Mu Xue. "Looks like the Mu family's situation is worse than I thought." Jiang Bai sneered and was about to throw his phone aside. But just then, the phone rang again. Ding ding ding, the phone rang. "It's connected." Finally. Mu Xue, on the other end of the line, was overjoyed, tears of excitement filling her eyes. She had been calling Jiang Bai every hour, each time being met with a phone-off message. After several hours, her persistence finally paid off. "Hello, I told you not to call my private number." Jiang Bai's impatient voice came from the other end. Mu Xue wiped away the tears from her eyes and spoke in the most gentle tone possible. "Jiang Bai, could we meet? Don't worry, it'll just be me this time." Jiang Bai was about to refuse when he saw Fang Ling tugging at his sleeve. He had no choice but to give in. "All right, give me the location once you've decided." "Okay." Mu Xue, smiling through her tears, quickly hung up. She began preparing herself for the meeting, carefully dressing up. Jiang Bai, as he prepared to meet Mu Xue, asked Fang Ling, "Ling, are you not afraid that I might go back to how I was before and leave you for her?" Jiang Bai threw his phone aside, his expression serious. A glint of mischief, however, betrayed his inner thoughts. "I'm not afraid. Go ahead and get ready. Don't keep Miss Mu waiting." Fang Ling urged, not showing any concern that Jiang Bai might abandon her. "All right, I'm going." Jiang Bai got dressed and walked downstairs. Just then, Mu Xue's location was sent to him. Shengqian Grand Hotel, 11th floor. "Trying to use the beauty trap on me?" Jiang Bai smirked, sliding his phone into his pocket, and left. At the Shengqian Grand Hotel, 11th floor. Mu Xue, after careful preparation, had set up a candlelit dinner on the table. She sat alone, staring at the candles, waiting for Jiang Bai's arrival. For years, she had never been so eager to meet Jiang Bai. In the past, whenever she saw him, it only annoyed her. Ding dong, ding dong. The doorbell rang. Mu Xue hurriedly went to open the door, and Jiang Bai's handsome face greeted her. Looking at the romantic setting in the room, Jiang Bai smiled faintly, his expression unreadable. "You called me here, what's the matter?" I. Mu Xue stammered, not knowing how to start the conversation. "You want to treat me to a candlelit dinner?" Jiang Bai walked past Mu Xue and headed straight for the dinner table. Chapter 27, The End of the Mu Family Group. Some things are meant to be completely settled. "Yes, I prepared this for you with my own hands." Mu Xue suppressed her nervousness and walked over to reply. "It's an honor, truly an honor," Jiang Bai smiled as he spoke. "After all these years of being your loyal dog, this is the first time I've had the privilege." With that, Jiang Bai pulled out a chair without hesitation and sat down. Mu Xue gave a self-mocking smile, opened 2 bottles of red wine, poured a glass for Jiang Bai, and then sat across from him. "Would you mind having a drink with me?" Of course, Jiang Bai shrugged lightly and raised his glass to toast her. A smile appeared at the corner of Mu Xue's mouth as she clinked her glass with Jiang Bai's, then drank the wine in one go. After finishing 1 glass, Mu Xue immediately poured herself a second, then a third. The whole time, she didn't say a word, just drinking the wine on her own. No one could understand the helplessness and pressure she felt inside. 1 bottle. 2 bottles. When Mu Xue had finished both bottles of wine, she, now a little tipsy, looked at Jiang Bai with hazy eyes and asked, "Jiang Bai, if I hadn't agreed to the annulment back then, would you still have insisted on breaking the engagement?" Jiang Bai nodded seriously. "Yes. From the moment I stepped into your family's door, the outcome was already decided." Mu Xue then asked, "If I had treated you better, would you have really married me?" "Yes. What if I wasn't the eldest daughter of the Mu family, but just some random child? Would you still marry me?" "Yes." Jiang Bai finished his glass, speaking to himself, "Actually, for me, it's not your status that matters, but you as a person." Har har. Mu Xue laughed bitterly, her heart full of sorrow. Seemingly having thought of something, she stood up from the table and began to undo her belt. With a rustling sound, her outer clothes fell to the floor, leaving only her underwear. But this didn't seem to be enough. Mu Xue walked toward Jiang Bai, undoing her bra as she murmured to herself, "Jiang Bai, you've been chasing me for so many years, and I wouldn't even let you hold my hand. Tonight, it's all voluntary, do whatever you want." Jiang Bai slightly shook his head, seemingly ignoring her beauty. His eyes focused, his expression serious as he looked at her face, and he said with a straight face, "Do you remember what you said to me in front of your house back then? You said that even if we married, you wouldn't let me touch you. Today, I'm telling you too, Jiang Bai continued, back then, you ignored me, and now, you're not worthy of me. With that, Jiang Bai stood up and turned to leave. Mu Xue, in desperation, grabbed him from behind and cried, please, give me one more chance. I was wrong before. I shouldn't have treated you like that, I shouldn't have ignored you. I really know I was wrong. As she spoke, tears fell from her eyes. Her words seemed to evoke memories in Jiang Bai. He looked up at the ceiling, his eyes flickering with recollection, and said firmly, no, you didn't do anything wrong. It was me. That's why I let go. Some people, once you miss them, you've missed them for good. No matter how much you turn back, you can never feel the same again. With those words, Jiang Bai pried her hands off him and walked out of the room without looking back, hearing the door slam shut behind him. Mu Xue could no longer hold back her heartache. She crouched on the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. Young Master Jiang. Return to the Jiang family. At the entrance of the Xinqian Grand Hotel, Jiang Bai got into his car and drove straight to the Jiang family. This was his final meeting with Mu Xue. The next time they meet, they would be strangers. The car sped down the road and stopped in front of the Jiang family villa. Jiang Bai got out of the car, turned, and walked inside. Jiang's father had been waiting on the sofa for him. As soon as he saw Jiang Bai, he pointed to the documents on the coffee table and said, I'm giving you one last chance. Are you really going to destroy the Mu family group and marry Fang Ling? Of course, Jiang Bai shrugged and replied firmly. Since you've made your decision, take this. Jiang's father turned and grabbed the documents from the table, handing them over to Jiang Bai without looking back. What is this? Jiang Bai flipped through the documents, his face filled with shock. He looked up and stared at Jiang's father in disbelief. You really found evidence from 17 years ago that Mu Ben hired someone to kill you. He had just mentioned it casually before, never expecting it to be true. If you've really decided to give up on Mu Xue, then hand this evidence over to Director Wang, Jiang's father said, still not fully believing that Jiang Bai would actually give up on Mu Xue. A woman he had been pursuing for so many years, could he really just let her go? But he underestimated Jiang Bai's resolve. Without a second thought, Jiang Bai took out his phone and dialed Director Wang's number, saying bluntly, Director Wang, I'm filing charges against Mu Ben for hiring an assassin 17 years ago. This time, it was Jiang's father's turn to be shocked. His eyes widened as he looked at Jiang Bai. You really called the police? Jiang Bai didn't respond and continued to make the call. Before long, Director Wang arrived at the Jiang family villa with a few officers. Looking at the evidence in the documents, Director Wang's face became solemn, and he said, Mr. Jiang, don't worry. If this evidence is true, we will definitely capture Mu Ben and bring him to justice. Thank you, Director Wang, Jiang's father nodded, leading him to the door. As they watched Director Wang leave, Jiang Bai knew that the Mu family group was finished. Next, he would have to deal with Ye Tian's elite mercenary group, the God of War brigade, thousands of mercenaries known internationally. Forget it. I'll deal with it after their wedding. Days passed quickly. The engagement ceremony between Jiang Bai and Fang Ling was just one day away. In the Jiang family villa, various items for the engagement were neatly arranged. Jiang Bai and Fang Ling tried on one outfit after another, everything proceeding in an orderly fashion. On the other hand, Mu Xue wandered into the hospital, her heart crushed. She knew there was no chance left with Jiang Bai. She had unknowingly lost the person who had cared for her most. Looking at Mu Ben, lying on the bed, and Mu Mother, growing increasingly frail, Mu Xue couldn't bear the pressure any longer. With a loud thud, she dropped to her knees and cried, I'm sorry, I've let you down. What happened? Didn't Jiang Bai agree to let the Mu family go? Mu Ben asked anxiously. Mu Xue shook her head gently. The next moment, Mu Ben's heart tightened, and he fell into a stupor, muttering to himself, it's over, the company is over. It's completely over. All because of you, you wild child, I'll kill you. Mu Ben, unable to bear the blow, jumped out of bed in a frenzy and reached for Mu Xue's neck. Chapter 28, Jiang Bai's overbearing protection of his fiancée. Old Mu, please calm down. As Mu's mother was about to intervene and stop Mu Ben, Director Wang, accompanied by several police officers, walked into the hospital room. Looking at Mu Ben, who was losing his mind, Director Wang spoke coldly. Mu Ben, you are suspected of hiring a hitman. I am formally arresting you now, in the name of the police department. Take him away. With a command from Director Wang, the officers began to escort Mu Ben out. Mu's mother rushed forward and asked in panic, Director Wang, could there be some misunderstanding? How could our old Mu hire a hitman? There is irrefutable evidence. If you believe there's a misunderstanding, take it up with the judge, Director Wang said, turning around and following the officers as they left the room. Mu's mother, seeing her son being taken away, had a heart attack and collapsed to the floor with a thud. Mom. Mom. Doctor. Time passed in a flash. Today was the engagement day of Jiang Bai and Fang Ling. At the Xingqian Grand Hotel, the venue was filled with guests. Wealthy people and nobles from around the world put aside their affairs to attend their wedding. In the back room, Jiang Bai looked at Fang Ling, who was wearing a wedding dress, and sincerely complimented her. Ling, you look beautiful today. President. Fang Ling shyly lowered her head, caught in Jiang Bai's intense gaze. After today, you should call me husband or fiancé. Jiang Bai reached out and gently stroked Fang Ling's cheek. An intimate atmosphere rose between them. Just as the two were lost in their world, a beautiful mixed-race woman walked over to them. Smiling at Jiang Bai, she said, Brother Jiang, I wish you both a happy marriage. Thank you for your blessing, Miss Mi. Jiang Bai smiled back. Oh, by the way. Brother Jiang, I saw Mr. Li looking for you everywhere. It seems like it's urgent. Really? Jiang Bai raised an eyebrow, then turned to Fang Ling and said. Ling wait for me here, I'll be back soon. President, if you need to go, it's fine. I'll be okay here. Fang Ling understood and nodded with a gentle smile. All right. Jiang Bai didn't suspect anything and walked away in the direction where Mr. Li was supposed to be. After Jiang Bai left, Mi Luoy's smile faded immediately. Her expression turned arrogant as she looked at Fang Ling and said. Secretary Fang, name your price. How much would it take for you to leave Jiang Bai? Miss Mi, what are you talking about? I don't quite understand. Fang Ling pretended to be confused. Mi Luoye raised 5 fingers. 50 million. Fang Ling shook her head slightly, remaining silent. 500 million. Fang Ling shook her head again, not responding. After 2 refusals, Mi Luoye's face showed displeasure. Looking at Fang Ling with disdain, she said, Secretary Fang, don't be so ungrateful. 500 million is a sum you could never make in your lifetime. Fang Ling shook her head firmly, saying, Miss Mi, there's no need to continue. No matter how much you offer, I will not leave President Jiang. Seeing Fang Ling's resolute expression, Mi Luoye gritted her teeth and said, 1 billion. I'll give you 1 billion, just leave Jiang Bai and disappear from his life. Before Fang Ling could respond, Mi Luoye continued. Secretary Fang, you must understand, you're not worthy of Jiang Bai. By family background, you're just an orphan. Jiang Bai is the son of one of the richest families in the world. By education, you graduated from a third-rate university, while Jiang Bai graduated from the top institution in the world. Dreaming that a wild chicken can turn into a phoenix, it's just a fantasy. I suggest you give up on this idea. Miss Mi, I'm not interested in your offer. I will never leave President Jiang. Fang Ling's expression darkened, and she turned to walk away. She knew she wasn't worthy of Jiang Bai. Her humble origins weren't her fault. But none of this stopped her from loving him. Mi Luoye took a few steps forward, blocking Fang Ling's path, and arrogantly threatened her. Secretary Fang, you must understand, our social standings are worlds apart. One is in the sky, the other is underground. Some people, you can't afford to offend. If you're wise, leave Jiang Bai's side early. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Rude? I'd like to see how rude you can be. Jiang Bai's face darkened as he approached Mi Luoye. He had just realized something. If Mr. Li really had urgent business, why hadn't he called? It was clear that Mi Luoye had lied. Rushing back, Jiang Bai arrived just in time to see Mi Luoye threatening Fang Ling. Brother Jiang, I was just kidding with Secretary Fang. Mi Luoye quickly put on a fake smile as Jiang Bai returned. Mi Luoye, do you think I'm blind, or just stupid? You pick on my fiancé on my engagement day, and you really think Jiang Bai is someone you can trifle with? Jiang Bai's eyes were as cold as daggers, staring sharply at Mi Luo. It seemed as if his gaze could set her on fire. Mi Luo shuddered under Jiang Bai's stare, her body instinctively trembling. President, it's fine. Miss Mi was just joking with me. Fang Ling hurriedly spoke up to ease the tension. For her sake, it wouldn't be wise to offend the young lady of a powerful family. Fang Ling's intervention, however, only made Mi Luo feel embarrassed. She, the young lady of the Mi family, was now being defended by a mere secretary. With a furious glare, Mi Luo snapped, "Secretary Fang, who are you to interrupt my conversation with Jiang Bai? Don't forget, you're just a secretary." "Enough!" Jiang Bai shouted in anger, his gaze icy as he looked at Mi Luo. Mi Luo, if you're here to attend my wedding, then welcome. If you're here to cause trouble, then don't blame me for being impolite. You, and your Mi family, are not even worth my attention. Without another word, Jiang Bai grabbed Fang Ling's hand and walked away, not sparing Mi Luo another glance. The Mi family was nothing to him, and he wasn't afraid of offending them. Mi Luo watched Jiang Bai's back, feeling a sudden surge of frustration and resentment. With tears in her eyes, she shouted, "Jiang Bai, are you really going to marry a secretary? You'd rather marry a secretary than me?" She had liked Jiang Bai for a long time, but he had always been focused on Mu Xue, making it hard for her to act. Now that Jiang Bai no longer wanted Mu Xue, he was going to marry a secretary. How could she accept that? Was she, the young lady of the Mi family, not even as good as a secretary? Her heart was filled with indescribable grievance and unwillingness. "Miss Mi, please remember, a forced marriage is never sweet," Jiang Bai said coldly, turning his head and ignoring her. "Such a wonderful love triangle, truly a great drama." A flippant voice suddenly sounded. Jiang Bai turned towards the voice. A young man, with an overly casual demeanor, was watching them from a distance. From his figure and appearance, it seemed like he had too much to drink. Seeing that the three were looking at him, the man arrogantly walked over to Mi Luo and with a mocking smile, asked, "Miss Mi, it's well known that Jiang Bai is a well-known puppy. What exactly do you like about him? Is it because he knows how to lick boots?" As he said this, the man mockingly licked his lips. Chapter 29, The Mu Group is completely doomed. "Zhao Wujie, who sent you here?" With a cold expression, Jiang Bai asked. Zhao Wujie, the heir to the Zhao family from T Island, was known for his arrogance, recklessness, and a life of indulgence. He was one of the global playboys who had a long-standing rivalry with Jiang Bai. The two had completely different philosophies. Zhao Wujie had always looked down on Jiang Bai, believing that a top-tier second-generation rich kid like him should not lower himself to fawn over Mu Xue. He felt that Jiang Bai, as a rich heir, was embarrassing himself by chasing after her. On the other hand, Jiang Bai had never thought much of Zhao Wujie, dismissing him as just another wasteful playboy with no ambition. "Miss Mi, why don't you consider me instead?" Zhao Wujie ignored Jiang Bai's question and turned to Mi Luo. "Me?" Mi Luo looked Zhao Wujie up and down, her face filled with disdain. "With that toothpick of yours, can you even measure up?" Her words stung Zhao Wujie deeply. He pointed at Jiang Bai and retorted, "I'm not good enough? But this dog that licks others is. Zhao Wujie, I suggest you mind your words. If not, you will face the consequences," Jiang Bai warned, his face growing colder. Ignoring Jiang Bai's threat, Zhao Wujie strode up to him and, with a show of arrogance, poked his chest with one finger. "Consequences? What kind of consequences? Are you going to show me?" With a mocking tone, Zhao Wujie continued, "This is how I deal with the consequences." Jiang Bai grabbed Zhao Wujie's finger and slapped him hard across the face. "You dare hit me?" Zhao Wujie shouted, clutching his right cheek in disbelief. Slap. Another slap landed on Zhao Wujie's left cheek, leaving him with a symmetrical set of bruises. After the slap, Jiang Bai let go of Zhao Wujie's finger and spoke contemptuously, "Let me tell you, Zhao Wujie, you're not even worthy to be hopping around in front of me." Zhao Wujie, humiliated in front of Mi Luo, pointed at Jiang Bai, trembling with rage. "You dare hit me? Fine, wait until I get back to the Zhao family." I'll cancel all cooperation with the Jiang family, and your business won't even set foot in T Island. T Island. Jiang Bai sneered, unbothered. If you have the guts, cancel the cooperation right now. Do you think T Island is that impressive? It's just self-deception. Moreover, don't forget, I am the sole heir of the Jiang family, and you, Zhao Wujie, are nothing but a bastard child of the Zhao family. Even if I slap you, it's still you who will end up apologizing. Your Zhao family can never compete with the Jiang family. Jiang Bai spoke with disdain, lightly slapping Zhao Wujie's face again, showing no mercy. There were few who dared to step forward to offer themselves for a beating, and Jiang Bai was one of those rare people. Zhao Wujie's face was alternately red and pale, his frustration clear. But he couldn't refute Jiang Bai's words. As Jiang Bai said, he was merely a bastard, not even in the same league. Get lost. With a swift kick, Jiang Bai sent Zhao Wujie crashing to the floor, then turned around, taking Mi Luoya's hand and heading out of the back hall. As they entered the main hall, the Jiang family's butler hurried over. Young Master Jiang, Miss Fang, you're finally out. You need to hurry to the ceremony, it's about to begin. All right, I know, Jiang Bai said as he led Fang Ling toward the ceremony. Now, let us welcome the happy couple. With the hostess' loud announcement, Jiang Bai held Fang Ling's hand as they slowly walked toward the stage. As they walked, they drew the attention and applause of countless rich elites and young ladies. The ceremony went smoothly. As it neared the end, their host turned to Jiang Bai and Fang Ling in front of all the guests and asked, "Do you both vow to stay together forever, through thick and thin?" Jiang Bai and Fang Ling exchanged a smile and said in unison, "We do. In this life, we will meet only one person and never be apart." Click, click. Countless cameras flashed, capturing the beautiful moment. Just as Jiang Bai was lost in the joy of the engagement, Mu Xue was receiving devastating news in the hospital. Her father had gone insane, unable to cope with the combined blow of bankruptcy and impending prison time. And her mother had been diagnosed with late-stage liver cancer. For a moment, the world seemed to crumble for Mu Xue. She couldn't remember how she left the hospital and returned home. Standing in front of the empty mansion, Mu Xue finally couldn't hold it in any longer and burst into tears. "Miss, please stop crying. Pack your things and leave. This mansion no longer belongs to us. It's been mortgaged to pay off the debts." The Mu family's butler gave one last look at the mansion before turning and walking out the door. "Leave? Where can I go?" Looking at the mansion's furnishings, Mu Xue suddenly thought of Ye Tian. She quickly took out her phone and dialed his number. "Ye Tian, where are you? I miss you. From now on, you must call me husband." In the room, Jiang Bai caressed Fang Ling's body, speaking in a low voice. Clearly, they had just engaged in some intimate activity. "Hubby." Fang Ling shyly responded, making Jiang Bai's desire flare up. Just as Jiang Bai was about to continue, his phone rang, interrupting the mood. "Hello, what is it?" Jiang Bai answered the phone, his tone displeased. "Young Master Jiang, we've received word that Mu Ben seems to have gone mad." "Mu Ben has gone mad?" Jiang Bai exclaimed, sitting up in shock. "Congratulations, host, you have gained 10,000 plunder points." The system's voice echoed, confirming that Mu Ben was indeed mad. He no longer posed a threat to Jiang Bai. "Yes, he has gone mad. And our people also found out that Ye Tian has been expelled from the country by the military." "Okay, I understand," Jiang Bai replied, hanging up the phone with a decisive tone before turning back to Fang Ling resuming what they had started. With a moan, they engaged in their most intimate connection. A week passed quickly. Jiang Bai and Fang Ling started going to work. At the Jiang family's headquarters, on the 66th floor, in Jiang Bai's office, Fang Ling placed a gold invitation letter in front of him. "Mr. Jiang, the Kingdom of Atte has invited you to attend their auction in 3 days." The Kingdom of Atte. Looking at the invitation letter, Jiang Bai's mind recalled the plot of the original story. In the original novel, the auction held by the Kingdom of Atte was no ordinary event. Hidden there was a massive fortune that originally belonged to the protagonist. However, under Mu Xue's persuasion, the protagonist foolishly handed over the wealth to Ye Tian, which led to Ye Tian's rise to power. "Mr. Jiang, do you want to attend this auction? Should I cancel it for you?" Seeing that Jiang Bai was lost in thought, Fang Ling asked with concern. Oh, no need. Tell the kingdom of Atte that I will attend on the appointed day. All right, Mr. Jiang. Fang Ling gave a respectful bow and turned to leave. Wait. Jiang Bai suddenly called out to her, his face showing displeasure. I've told you countless times, from now on, call me husband. Yes, Mr. Jiang. Fang Ling smiled faintly and turned to leave Jiang Bai's office. Chapter 30, The Atte Auction. Sigh. Watching Fang Ling leave, Jiang Bai let out a helpless sigh. He had told Fang Ling countless times not to call him Mr. Jiang, but each time she agreed, only to still call him that. She claimed it was about being clear about personal and professional boundaries. System, give me a 20 draw pull. Congratulations, host, you've drawn 1 attribute point. Congratulations, host, you've drawn 1 sanitary napkin. Congratulations, host, you've drawn 1 candy. Congratulations, host, you've drawn level 1 ancient martial arts. Congratulations, host, you've drawn 1 skill point. In his 20 pulls, Jiang Bai received 9 attribute points, 8 skill points, and 1 ancient martial arts skill. The remaining 2 items. He didn't want to mention them. As per his usual practice, Jiang Bai distributed the 9 attribute points to speed, strength, and constitution. Jiang Bai, only son of the Jiang family. Identity, major antagonist. Mission, eliminate protagonist Ye Tian. Fortune plunder value, 0. Speed, 10. Strength, 10. Constitution, 10. Charm, 10. Skills, Master of Firearms, Parkour, Light as a Feather, Level 1 Ancient Martial Arts. Follower, Arfu. Light as a Feather, increases speed by 10. Ancient Martial Arts Level 1, Flowery Fists and Embroidered Legs, weak and ineffective, can be upgraded with skill points. Hint, all attributes and skills in this world have a maximum value of 10. System, add all skill points to Ancient Martial Arts. In his previous life, Jiang Bai had always liked the feeling of punching through, but he lacked martial arts skills. This time, he was determined to shout, I want to fight 10 people. Skill points added. Current Ancient Martial Arts level, 9. A surge of energy flowed through Jiang Bai, and his mind suddenly filled with various leg techniques and boxing forms. In an instant, he went from being a novice in martial arts to a master in ancient combat. System, check Ye Tian's protagonist fortune. Querying. After a few seconds, Ye Tian's attributes appeared in Jiang Bai's vision. Ye Tian, king of soldiers in the military god camp. Identity, protagonist. Speed, 10. Strength, 10. Constitution, 10. Charm, 8. Ancient Martial Arts Level 10, Master of Firearms, Master of Killing Techniques Level 10, Master of Disguise Level 10, Master of Language Skills Level 10, Leadership Level 10. Fortune value, 55,000. Shit, Ye Tian is this strong. Jiang Bai exclaimed, glancing at Ye Tian's attribute panel, now feeling slightly uneasy. He had thought that their strengths were roughly on par, but now comparing the two, the gap was enormous. His only 2 skills seemed insignificant in front of Ye Tian. No, my current strength is still not enough to slack off. Jiang Bai muttered to himself before focusing on his work. 3 days passed in Jiang Bai's business. On the morning of the 3rd day, Jiang Bai, accompanied by Fang Ling and Arfu, boarded a private jet heading to the Atte Kingdom. The Atte Kingdom is located in the Middle East. It spans less than 50,000 square kilometers and has a population of about 10 million. The country's specialties are oil and gold. Rumor has it that large amounts of gold can be dug up from underground in Atte Kingdom. This auction was organized by Prince Atte of Atte Kingdom, who had invited the top global billionaires and major corporations to attend. Boss. What should I do? I'm a little nervous, Fang Ling said, nervously wiping the sweat on her palms. Previously, she was just a small secretary and had never attended such a high-profile global event. To be honest, every person attending the auction was a major figure. Just one of them could shake the economy of an entire region. We haven't even arrived yet. Why are you nervous? Jiang Bai replied, completely unfazed. But I really am nervous, Fang Ling said, her voice trembling at the thought of so many big shots being present. Don't worry, Jiang Bai reassured her, patting her hand. You're attending as the future director's wife of Jiang Group. Jiang Group is your strongest backing. The plane landed in Atte Kingdom's capital airport without Fang Ling noticing. Jiang Bai, Fang Ling, and our Fu disembarked, only to be greeted by over 100 bodyguards dressed in black with sunglasses. Seeing Jiang Bai, the bodyguards respectfully bowed and greeted them. Hello, Mr. Jiang, madam. Hello. Under the protection of the bodyguards, the trio got into a luxurious car and headed straight for the auction. The auction was being held at the Atte Hotel, the largest hotel in the Atte Kingdom. To prevent any accidents, Prince Atte had sent heavily armed guards to protect the hotel. Every 3 steps, there was a guard. Every 5 steps, there was a sentry. The area was tightly secured. Outside the hotel, luxury cars lined the streets. Directors of major corporations and young ladies used the opportunity to mingle and network. A sharp, scrunching sound rang out as over 10 luxury cars neatly parked outside the Atte Hotel, attracting the attention of countless people. Under the gaze of everyone, Jiang Bai slowly got out of the car, with Fang Ling and our Fu following behind him. As they approached the hotel's entrance, a soldier suddenly stepped forward and stopped them, pointing at our Fu. Excuse me, sir. You're not properly dressed. You can't enter. Jiang Bai turned his head to look at our Fu, who was wearing a blue tank top, red shorts, and had a bright red, messy hairstyle. Where did this weird guy come from, wearing such an outfit to an auction? A young rich heir sneered. His words caused the surrounding ladies to laugh. Sir, please adjust your attire before entering, the soldier insisted. What exactly counts as proper attire? Jiang Bai asked, glancing displeased at the rich heir. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the golden invitation. Golden invitation. The young heir and nearby socialites were instantly shocked. The invitations came in 3 colors, white, red, and gold. Only the world's top corporations received a gold invitation from Prince Atte, signifying the highest respect and sincerity. Is our attire not proper enough? Jiang Bai waved the golden invitation in front of the soldier. The soldier immediately changed his attitude, bowing and addressing Jiang Bai respectfully. Honorable guest, please enter. Your attire is, of course, appropriate. Watching the trio enter with swagger, a few young ladies near the entrance whispered among themselves. Who is this young heir with a golden invitation? I don't know. But it doesn't matter who he is, as long as I can make a connection. One young lady with a 95-point appearance rating quietly slipped into the hotel, scanning the room for Jiang Bai. Found him. She saw Jiang Bai's back, grabbed a glass of red wine, and walked gracefully toward him. Just as she was about to approach him, her foot suddenly slipped, spilling wine all over Jiang Bai. Oops, I'm so sorry. I accidentally slipped and spilled wine on you. Let me help you clean it up. She took out a handkerchief and began to wipe Jiang Bai's clothes. Chapter 31. The auction begins. Jiang Bai glanced at Ming Ari coldly and turned to avoid Ming Ari's handkerchief. He took off the suit jacket that was smeared with red wine and threw it to Fang Ling, saying, "Throw it away somewhere." After that, Jiang Bai walked to the 2nd floor of the hotel. Didn't pay any attention to Ming Ari during the whole process. Fang Ling was not a fool. How could she not see that Ming Ari did it on purpose? Throwing the jacket to Ming Ari, he said, "Help me throw it away." Then he followed Jiang Bai to the 2nd floor. Damn it! Ming Ari looked at the jacket in her hand and was indignant. Hey, isn't this our liquor Jiang Bai, young Master Jiang? What? Didn't young Master Jiang continue to lick your fiancée today? As soon as Jiang Bai was carried to the 2nd floor, a sarcastic voice sounded. Jiang Bai looked over when he heard the voice. A young man who looked a bit like Zhao Wuji was looking at him with a sneer on his face. I thought it was a dog barking, but it turned out to be you, Zhao Wudan. Jiang Bai retorted without giving in. Without waiting for Zhao Wudan to refute, Jiang Bai immediately asked. By the way, Zhao Wudan. Did your father give you this name because you really don't have it? Poor. A man doesn't even have this. Jiang Bai showed a look of pity, as if he felt sorry for Zhao Wudan. After hearing this, the people around him wanted to laugh out loud. But they were afraid of offending Zhao Wudan, so they could only hold back their laughter. Zhao Wudan was about to get angry, but suddenly he saw Fang Ling beside Jiang Bai. His eyes turned, and he said sarcastically, Hey, isn't this Mr. Jiang's secretary? I heard that Mr. Jiang is engaged to your secretary. Why, Mr. Jiang can't lick Mu Xue. So he licks a little secretary instead. Har har har. Zhao Wudan laughed unscrupulously. After hearing this, Fang Ling couldn't help but feel a little depressed. Identity is her biggest pain. She knows that her identity is not worthy of Jiang Bai. Jiang Bai saw Fang Ling's abnormality, and reached out to hold Fang Ling's hand to comfort her. He looked at Zhao Wudan arrogantly and said, I never consider the other party's family or background when I get engaged to someone. Because there are few women who are richer than me. But Zhao Wudan, you have to be careful. If I die in a woman's belly one day, I won't have money to buy you a wreath. You? Zhao Wudan's face turned red with anger at Jiang Bai. Just as he was about to refute, he heard Jiang Bai continue to say, there is an old saying among the Z people, saying that you are what you eat. Linga, after the auction, you arrange for someone to send Zhao Wudan a few baskets of eggs to replenish him. By the way, don't send too many. After all, our family is poor, not as rich as the Zhao family of T Island. Our family is poor. These 4 words hit the hearts of all the rich and famous ladies on the scene like a hammer. They couldn't help but curl their lips. Is the Jiang family poor? If the Jiang family is poor, then what are they? Are they penniless? Jiang Bai. Zhao Wudan's teeth itched fiercely. He originally wanted to taunt Jiang Bai a few times to vent his anger for Zhao Wuji. He didn't expect Jiang Bai to be so eloquent. He felt like he had lifted a rock and hit his foot. What's wrong? Brother Wudan. Could it be that you think a few baskets of eggs are a little too few? Can't make up for it. It's not that I don't want to give you more, I'm just afraid that you're used to eating eggs, and T Island can't afford it. Jiang Bai looked at Zhao Wudan with an innocent expression. After saying that, without waiting for Zhao Wudan to speak, Jiang Bai took Fang Ling and Arfu straight to the 3rd floor. Compared to the 2nd floor, the 3rd floor is not accessible to ordinary people. The big guys who can go to the 3rd floor have a net worth of no less than 100 billion. Young Master Jiang. Young Master Jiang. As they walked along, the rich people greeted Jiang Bai one after another. When does the auction start? Jiang Bai turned his head and asked Fang Ling. 8 o'clock, 2 hours from now. Let's go to our box and wait. Jiang Bai gradually stepped up to the 4th floor and walked into the box belonging to their Jiang family. When Jiang Bai just stepped into the box, a familiar figure walked in from the 1st floor. Mu Xue looked at the famous ladies on the 1st floor, and a hint of sadness flashed in her eyes. She felt infinite cruelty towards Jiang Bai in her heart. If it weren't for Jiang Bai, she would still be the daughter of the Mu family. It was Jiang Bai who made her lose everything. The clock passed by little. As the time left for the auction to start was getting shorter and shorter. All kinds of bigwigs and chaebols stepped into the art hotel one after another. Dong. The bell for the start of the auction rang 9 times in a row. A plump female host walked to the center of the stage on the 3rd floor with enchanting steps. Many chaebols with smiles on their faces said, "Thank you all for taking the time to attend Prince Atler's auction. Let's not waste any more time talking nonsense. Let's invite the first auction item." On the stage, an auction platform slowly rose. An ancient golden scepter appeared in front of everyone. This is a scepter that the ancient pharaoh once used. The starting price is $1 million. The wealthy businessman on the 1st floor began to bid. 1,100,000. 1,500,000. No one on the 2nd floor and above bid. 2 million. 2 million for the first time. 2 million for the second time. 2 million for the third time. I bid 3 million. Just as their host was about to make the final decision, Jiang Bai's voice came from the box on the 4th floor. 3 million for the first time. 3 million for the second time. Is there anything higher than 3 million? Their host looked around and was reluctant to drop the hammer. The eldest son of the Jiang family actually bids for a scepter, so I reluctantly bid 3.01 million. Zhao Wudan's humble voice sounded from the 3rd floor. Jiang Bai smiled slightly, a trace of unkindness flashed in his pupils, and he shouted expressionlessly, "I'll bid $30 million. Brother Wudan, if you have the ability, you can continue. My Jiang family doesn't have much else, but it's rich." Hey! Some wealthy people who wanted to bid heard Jiang Bai's bidding and sighed helplessly. They all put down their hearts to bid and looked at Zhao Wudan, waiting for Zhao Yundan's bidding. 30 million for the first time. The host looked at Zhao Wudan, expecting him to bid again, 30 million for the second time. What, Mr. Zhao is scared and dare not continue to bid? Jiang Bai said sarcastically. Zhao Wudan didn't give him any face at all. Zhao Wudan's face became gloomy. He was extremely unwilling to spend 30 million to bid for a scepter worth 1 million. But with so many eyes staring at him, he would be embarrassed if he didn't bid. 30 million, third. The host shouted loudly, and just as he was about to drop the hammer, a female voice sounded from the first floor. I bid 31 million. Jiang Bai looked around and saw Mu Xue holding up a sign. She looked at the box with hatred in her eyes. It's really haunting. Jiang Bai muttered to himself, with a strong murderous intent in his eyes. The reason why he bid for the golden scepter was because the scepter was related to a huge treasure. The treasure was so large that it was enough to shock the world. Isn't this Mr. Jiang's original fiancée? It seems that she doesn't want you to get the scepter either. Zhao Wudan's gloating voice sounded. Chapter 32 I would rather betray the world than you. How dare you, a worthless person, to shout here? I'll offer 35 million. Jiang Bai shouted coldly. Zhao Wudan didn't care about Jiang Bai's insults and said with a smile. It seems that this golden scepter is very important to you. I'll offer 36 million. I'll offer 37 million. Mu Xue shouted immediately. I'll offer 50 million. If you continue to bid, then I can only give up. Jiang Bai shouted in a flat tone. His words made Zhao Wudan unconvinced. Zhao Wudan raised the sign and vowed, I'll offer 51 million. Damn it. Mu Xue looked at Zhao Wudan's box indignantly. She only had 50 million in funds. Originally thought that a golden scepter would not cost much money. Who would have thought that Zhao Wudan would come out to mess things up? 51 million for the first time. 51 million for the second time. Is there a higher price? The host's hand holding the hammer began to tremble. A scepter worth 1 million was bid for 51 million. She really didn't understand the world of the rich, and her eyes couldn't help but look at Jiang Bai and Mu Xue. Unfortunately, neither Jiang Bai nor Mu Xue bid. Zhao Wudan was very anxious when he saw this. 50 million US dollars is equivalent to 320 million renminbi. Although he didn't need the money, he didn't want to bid for the scepter at all. The reason for bidding was just to make things difficult for Jiang Bai. Thank you, Mu Xue. If it weren't for your cooperation, Mr. Zhao wouldn't have been fooled. Jiang Bai's gloating voice came from the box. Mu Xue and Zhao Wudan were furious. Jiang Bai, you dare to team up to cheat me? Zhao Wudan roared. 51 million for the third time. With a thud. The host's hammer fell fiercely. Congratulations to Mr. Zhao for bidding 51 million US dollars for the golden scepter. Mr. Zhao, although the Zhao family is rich, they don't spend money like this. Jiang Bai shouted with a hint of sarcasm, making Zhao Wudan's teeth itch. The host didn't care about everyone's thoughts and shouted loudly. The second auction item is now available. Afu, make arrangements. Once Zhao Wudan leaves the art hotel, take the golden scepter back for me, regardless of life or death. In the box, Jiang Bai said expressionlessly. The tone was full of murderous intent. Understood, Mr. Jiang. Afu rubbed his hands. Husband. Fang Ling looked at Jiang Bai and hesitated. Are you trying to ask me why I gave the golden scepter to Zhao Wudan and then sent someone to take it back? Jiang Bai asked without turning his head. Fang Ling nodded, and asked in confusion, Hubby, if you really like the golden scepter, you can take a picture of it, you don't have to snatch it. Jiang Bai shook his head, and said as he ran his fingers across the boxes on the fourth floor, I can't take a picture of it. Although the golden scepter is good, its current asking price has exceeded its original price. No matter how much a person likes an item, there is a limit. I can bid high once or twice. If I bid for it a third time, they will suspect that there is something strange about this golden scepter. They will start bidding with curiosity. At that time, it will be much more troublesome to get the golden scepter than to snatch it from Zhao Wudan. What's more, someone is paying for me. Why should I pay out of my own pocket? But, yes, robbing things is illegal. Why do you break the law for a golden scepter, husband? Fang Ling was more and more puzzled. In her opinion, the golden scepter is good, but it is far from being used to break the law. Jiang Bai turned his head and looked at Fang Ling with deep eyes. Ling, you have to understand that this world is not as beautiful as you see. For the sake of profit, major groups have used many dirty means in private. This also includes Jiang's and me. But just as Fang Ling was about to continue speaking, Jiang Bai stretched out his right index finger, put it to her mouth, and said, "Hush." Then he gently touched Fang Ling's face and asked affectionately, "If one day, you find that my means are not so fair, but my hands are stained with blood, what will you do? Will you report me? Or will you stay with me?" Fang Ling's brain was a little stupid. Looking at Jiang Bai's face, she didn't know how to answer for a while. She never thought that Jiang Bai would ask her such a question. In her heart, Jiang Bai has always been a prince charming. Full of sunshine, positive energy, young and rich, humble and polite. No bad habits like other second-generation rich people. Jiang Bai looked at Fang Ling with tenderness and said firmly, "Ling, remember this. If one day, you are abandoned by the whole world, I will never leave you. In this world, I, Jiang Bai, would rather betray the world than you, Fang Ling." Boom. A bolt from the blue flashed through Fang Ling's mind. Just when she was about to say something, her mouth was blocked by Jiang Bai's big mouth. Looking at Jiang Bai with disbelief, her heart was deeply touched by Jiang Bai. She, Fang Ling, is just an orphan. Except for being good-looking, she thinks she has no advantages. What virtues and abilities does she have to let Jiang Bai treat her like this? A man dies for his confidant, and a woman dresses for the one who pleases her. At this moment, Fang Ling's heart is filled with Jiang Bai's figure. All her eyes are full of love for Jiang Bai. Just this one sentence, it's worth her death. She subconsciously put her arms around Jiang Bai's neck and responded to Jiang Bai enthusiastically. After a long time, their lips parted. Fang Ling threw herself into Jiang Bai's arms and said affectionately, "Hubby. I thought about it." "You thought about it?" Jiang Bai raised a wicked smile at the corner of his mouth, picked up Fang Ling and walked into the room of the box. Atte left the box very attentively and went down to arrange the matter of snatching the golden scepter. "Hey, swoosh." In the room, Fang Ling cooperated with Jiang Bai enthusiastically. The two no longer paid attention to the auction. On the other side, Zhao Wudan looked at the golden scepter in his hand and was furious. He spent more than 50 million to buy such a junky thing. The most important thing is that the golden scepter is a golden scepter, but it is actually just a pile of brass. Damn Jiang Bai and Mu Xue. Zhao Wudan was so angry that he threw the scepter on the ground. With a clang, a copper block fell from the top of the scepter. When Zhao Wudan saw it, he was even more angry. He kicked the copper block away and cursed. "What a rubbish! It cost me more than 50 million. At the same time, Mu Xue also walked out of the auction and called Ye Tian. "Ye Tian, the golden scepter was bought by Zhao Wudan. My mission failed. Let it go. It's just a broken scepter. I don't know why the old man has to find him." Ye Tian's disapproving voice came from the phone. At this time, he didn't know what was strange in the scepter. The auction gradually came to an end as each item was auctioned off. After the auction, the wealthy people praised each other with their friends. But Jiang Bai was the only one missing. "Atte, are you ready?" Afterwards, Jiang Bai called Atte and asked, "Don't worry, Jiang Xiao. The golden scepter will never leave the capital of Atte." Atte said confidently, and he was eager to try. Chapter 33. Our Fu is in trouble. He likes to rob things the most. That's good. With a beep, Jiang Bai hung up the phone. But Zhao Wudan didn't know he was in trouble. He was looking for Mu Xue everywhere. Don't look at his sarcasm towards Jiang Bai. But if he really went to Jiang Bai to settle the score, he wouldn't dare to do it even if he had the guts. But Mu Xue was different. He didn't take the daughter of a bankrupt group seriously. He was about to cheat Jiang Bai of 30 million. It was because of Mu Xue's appearance that not only did he fail, but he also lost 50 million. Compared to Jiang Bai, he hated Mu Xue more. "Find her for me. Search the entire capital of art. Find that bitch Mu Xue for me." Zhao Wudan shouted angrily to the bodyguards around him. He led people to the first floor of the hotel aggressively. As a playboy of Tea Island, how could he not hunt for beauties in such an occasion? He must release the anger in his heart. Let's go. After we get the golden scepter, we should also return home. In the box, Jiang Bai and Fang Ling addressed neatly and stepped out of the box. Mr. Jiang. Mr. Jiang. As they walked along, the wealthy people around greeted Jiang Bai enthusiastically. Jiang Bai smiled back. Just as he and Fang Ling were about to go down the fourth floor, suddenly, our Fu's voice came from the first floor. Black tiger digs out the heart. Monkey steals peaches. Eagle catches chicks. Jiang Bai looked anxiously at the first floor. I saw our Fu fighting with dozens of men in black. Something happened. Let's go down and take a look. Jiang Bai didn't care about other people and walked quickly to the first floor. Looking at the people fighting and the broken furniture around, Jiang Bai shouted loudly. Stop it, everyone. The voice fell, but no one stopped. Just then, hundreds of arch soldiers holding guns rushed into the first floor. The muzzles were all pointed at our Fu and dozens of men in black. Stop it, or I will shoot. The captain of the soldiers shouted in broken Chinese. Damn guy. Our Fu kicked a man in black and stood aside indignantly. The man in black also stopped his actions when he saw the arrival of the arch soldiers. Our Fu, what's going on? Why are you fighting with them? Jiang Bai stepped forward and asked seriously. Mr. Jiang. Just as our Fu was about to speak, an arrogant word sounded. You are his boss, your people beat my people, how do you deal with this matter? Jiang Bai looked at their voice. A thin foreign man with long yellow hair walked out from the black-clad men. The man looked at Jiang Bai with a haughty look. Boy, do you know who we belong to? You are so brave to touch our people. Jiang Bai looked at the man coldly, and said in a dignified manner, Did I ask you to speak? Afu, you speak. Yes, Master Jiang. Afu organized his words and spoke truthfully. Master Jiang is like this. Just now I was sitting here drinking alone, and a woman came and threw herself on me. Then, this group of people rushed up and attacked me, saying that I seduced their sister-in-law. As he said, Afu scratched the back of his head, with an innocent look on his face. Red-haired man, if you dare to seduce our sister-in-law, I guarantee that you will not be able to leave the capital of Atte. The man pointed at Afu and said murderously. Did I let you speak? If you dare to say another word, I'll have someone sew your mouth shut. Jiang Bai said with a gloomy face. He knew our Fu's character. He was reckless by nature and would never seduce a married woman. There might be something strange about this matter. It is very likely that he encountered the legendary honey trap. Boy, tell me. Your men seduced our sister-in-law, how do you deal with this matter? The man looked arrogant and looked at Jiang Bai with disdain. You just heard it, your sister-in-law threw herself into the arms of my men. I want to ask you, how do you deal with the losses of my men? Jiang Bai asked back unwillingly. What should I do? Har har. The man sneered twice, with anger on his face. He reached out and took out a pistol from his bosom, pointed the muzzle at Jiang Bai's forehead, and said arrogantly. Boy, do you know how to write the word death? Jiang Bai was pointed at by the muzzle of the gun, his pupils sank suddenly, and he said expressionlessly. I don't know how to write the word death, but I know how to write the two words disability. As soon as the voice fell, Jiang Bai reached out and grabbed the man's wrist. With a click, the man's wrist was twisted by Jiang Bai, and the pistol fell to the ground weakly. Arr! The man cried out in pain. Seeing this, the other men in black were about to take action. The muzzles of the arch soldiers were all pointed at them. Jiang Bai let go of the man, looked at our Fu, and said arrogantly. Our Fu, kill him for me. Yes, Mr. Jiang. Just as our Fu was about to fight, the captain of the soldiers quickly pointed his gun at our Fu and warned him. I tell you, don't fight anymore. This is the auction held by our prince, and all the guests are honored. If you continue to disrupt the auction, I can only be rude to you. You're welcome, I want to see how you are rude. Jiang Bai took out the golden invitation and threw it directly to the captain of the soldiers. Golden invitation. The captain of the soldiers was shocked and quickly moved the gun away from our Fu. Golden invitation. The man's pupils shrank suddenly, regret flashed in his eyes, and his heart was dead. He knew that he was in trouble this time and had hit a wall. He thought Jiang Bai was just an ordinary rich man, but he didn't expect him to be a top VIP. "Arfu, go ahead and cripple him. If anything goes wrong, I'll take responsibility for you," Jiang Bai said without question. "Understood." Monkey stealing peaches. Lobster dragon. Arfu struck several times, breaking the man's limbs without mercy. The art soldiers watched the man being crippled by Arfu, but no one dared to speak out to stop him. "Enough, do you really think my people are easy to bully?" Just then, a loud shout rang out on the fourth floor. A bald man in a white suit walked to the first floor step by step under the gaze of everyone on the first floor. "Young Master Jiang, you crippled my people so blatantly, but you don't take me, Lei Lao, seriously." The man walked in front of Jiang Bai and asked sternly. There was a chilling murderous intent in his eyes. Jiang Bai shrugged lightly and ignored Lei Lao's gaze. Pointing at the man, he said bluntly, "Your people started it first. If you dare to put a gun to my forehead, you must be prepared to pay a heavy price. I didn't kill him, which is already giving you, Lei Lao, enough face." When Lei Lao heard Jiang Bai's words, a dangerous light flashed across his eyes, and he took out his pistol and pointed it at Arfu. "What a heavy price to pay. Then what price should your people pay for destroying my people?" Without waiting for Jiang Bai to speak, Lei Lao pulled the trigger without hesitation. A gunshot rang out. A bullet hole appeared on Arfu's thigh, and blood instantly flowed out of the bullet hole. Chapter 34 Threatening Lei Lao. Arfu. Good. Lei Lao. You are very good. At this moment, Jiang Bai was really angry. As he stretched out his hand, he pressed a button on the watch. Lei Lao turned a blind eye to Jiang Bai's actions and said with a face full of arrogance, "Young Master Jiang, I didn't shoot him in the head, which is already a great honor for your father. With you, you are not worthy of showing off in front of me. You are really good. No one has ever dared to hurt my people in front of me," Jiang Bai said while suppressing his anger. The killing intent towards Lei Lao rose in his heart. "This shot is my warning to you. If there is a next time, don't blame me for not giving your father face," Lei Lao warned coldly. After speaking, he turned around and left with his people without even looking at Jiang Bai. In his eyes, Jiang Bai was nothing more than a second-generation ancestor who relied on his father's generation. When he was out, Jiang Bai was just a ball of sperm. "You hit my people, and you want to just walk away like this?" Jiang Bai's gloomy voice sounded from behind Lei Lao. Lei Lao stopped, turned his head, and said fiercely, "Young Master Jiang, what are you doing?" "I don't want to do anything, but do you think you can walk out of the hotel safely without giving me an explanation today?" Jiang Bai's voice fell. Outside the hotel, hundreds of black-clad bodyguards with guns rushed in. The muzzles of the black-clad bodyguards were all pointed at Lei Lao. They were all Jiang Bai's accompanying bodyguards. They just waited for Jiang Bai outside the hotel and didn't follow him in. "Young Master Jiang, do you want to force me to stay? Do you have the courage?" Lei Lao said fearlessly. He was not afraid of hundreds of black gun muzzles. "You can try it if you have it," Jiang Bai said with a cold look in his eyes. As his voice fell, click, click, the sound of bullets being loaded sounded. The atmosphere on the field suddenly became tense. The wealthy people on the first floor saw that something was wrong and ran out of the hotel. They didn't want to stay any longer, fearing that Yarn Kai would be in trouble. The captain of the soldiers saw that the matter was getting bigger and bigger, so he quickly reported it to Atte. Time passed by. Neither Jiang Bai nor Lei Lao spoke first. Lei Lao saw that Jiang Bai was determined to give up, and he was a little unsure about Jiang Bai's attitude. But with so many wealthy people present, Lei Lao didn't want to lose face. They all said in a stern voice, "Young Master Jiang, I advise you to think it through. Once something happens, it is difficult to change it. I advise you to let your people put down their guns, so as not to cause unnecessary trouble for the Jiang family." "Really?" Jiang Bai smiled contemptuously, looking at Lei Lao with a gloomy face. "Why are you afraid? If you don't give me an explanation today, you can't leave the hotel." Hiss. The guests on the second floor and above took a deep breath when they heard Jiang Bai's words. Who is Lei Lao? He is a well-known gangster in Country H. All those who dared to speak so loudly to him before disappeared without a trace. Now, Jiang Bai dared to threaten Lei Lao with a gun. Suddenly, all the rich people looked at Jiang Bai with eyes full of not to be underestimated. They never expected that Jiang Bai would have such courage. Even Lei Lao, whose brows began to frown slightly, and his face became more gloomy. A strong desire to kill Jiang Bai broke out in his heart. If it were the past, Lei Lao would not take these hundreds of guns seriously. Whenever he went out, he was always surrounded by people and countless younger brothers. But today he came to participate in the auction of Atte, and he didn't bring many people with him. He only brought dozens of people, half of whom were knocked to the ground by our foo. It's not just him. All the rich people who come to the auction will not bring many people. After all, the art hotel gathers celebrities from all over the world and is closely protected by art soldiers. No one will come here to make trouble. Young Master Jiang, what do you want to explain? I remind you, leave a line today. We will meet again in the future. I, Lei Lao am not easy to mess with. Lei Lao said viciously, with a threat in his words. We will meet again in the future. Jiang Bai smiled contemptuously, feeling quite disdainful in his heart. He walked up to Lei Lao and whispered. I remember you have a hidden son, right? I just don't know if you still want to see him. Click. Lei Lao's heart skipped a beat, but he remained calm on the surface. I, Lei Lao have no children in my life, the eldest son of the Jiang family. You are threatening the wrong person. Really? Jiang Bai's face became more and more contemptuous, and he said with a smile. In that case, please ask Boss Lei to take the people away. Put away the gun, let Boss Lei leave. Jiang Bai shouted to their hundreds of bodyguards. The wealthy people on the second floor and above smiled as expected. They knew that Jiang Bai didn't have the courage to fight Lei Lao. Everything was just as they expected. Jiang Bai was just young and hot-tempered. In the end, he had to bow his head and lost face for nothing. Jiang Bai didn't know what everyone was thinking. He stretched out his hand and made a gesture of invitation, smiling at Lei Lao. Boss Lei, please come in. However, as long as you dare to step out of the hotel. I can't guarantee whether some people will get into trouble. You? Lei Lao didn't know whether what Jiang Bai said was true or not. He did have a hidden son, who was sent to study in Country Z since he was a child. That was the son he had finally gotten. He had put in too much effort for this. But he was the only one who knew the secret of his son. The rest of the people who knew about his son had been killed by him. By the way, his name is Lei Long, right? Jiang Bai said intentionally or unintentionally. Lei Lao's pupils suddenly shrank, and his eyes revealed a strong murderous intent. At this moment, he finally knew that Jiang Bai was not joking with him. He really knew that he had a son. He clenched his hands and loosened them. Finally, with his son an apology, Lei Lao made a choice. He couldn't afford to gamble. In front of all the rich people on the scene, Lei Lao apologized to Jiang Bai. Mr. Jiang, I'm sorry. What? All the rich people present were shocked and couldn't believe their ears. The famous Lei Lao actually bowed to Jiang Bai. This scene was really surprising. What did you say? I didn't hear it. Jiang Bai scratched his ears and asked loudly. You? Lei Lao hated Jiang Bai, but the situation was stronger than people, so he shouted loudly. Mr. Jiang, I'm sorry, I, Lei Lao apologize to you. Jiang Bai smiled and said kindly. If you had done this earlier, wouldn't some people's lives have been saved? But, just apologizing is not enough, you have to show sincerity. Okay? The viciousness in Lei Lao's eyes flashed, and he waved his hand and said to the younger brother behind him. Come, bring them up. A woman and a man with broken limbs were carried in front of Jiang Bai. Lei Lao took out a pistol, loaded it with bullets, and fired at the man. A bullet hole appeared between the man's eyebrows. Chapter 35. There is something fishy going on. Until death, the man did not believe that Lei Lao would shoot him. Brother, don't kill me, let me go. The woman trembled and begged for mercy. Looking at the man's body, her eyes were full of fear. Let you go. You have caused me such a big trouble. How can I let you go? Lei Lao said sternly. This woman was just someone he was going to play with casually. There was no such thing as feelings. But it was this woman who caused him a big disaster. It made Lei Lao Hu lose face in front of such a rich man. Raising his hand, Lei Lao Hu pointed the gun at the woman's forehead. The woman was even more frightened, her feet softened, and she fell to the ground, begging bitterly. Brother, brother, let me go. Lei Lao Hu was indifferent to the woman's words. Just as he was about to pull the trigger, a pair of hands stopped him. Jiang Bai stopped Lei Lao Hu and said, "Okay, let him go first. I still have some use for this woman." HMPH. Lei Lao Hu looked at the woman with murderous intent and put down his gun. If it weren't for this woman, how could he have a conflict with Jiang Bai? He lost face in front of so many rich people for nothing. Okay, everyone calm down. What's the matter? Can't we sit down and talk? A man with a white hat and a beard came over to smooth things over. Prince Atte. The surrounding Atte soldiers saluted when they saw the man. Young Master Jiang, Boss Lei, why don't you give me some face? How about letting this little misunderstanding go? Atte asked with a smile. He saw the whole thing clearly on the fourth floor. Of course. Faced with Atte's proposal, Lei Lao Hu couldn't refuse and said with a fake smile. I don't have a problem either. Jiang Bai said with a professional fake smile. He knew exactly what Atte was thinking. It was nothing more than that the matter between him and Lei Lao Hu would be resolved soon. He took the opportunity to do a favor and make the two grateful to him. It must be said that those who can be princes have many minds. In this case, the two of you should shake hands and make peace. Atte said confidently. There is no need to shake hands. I, Lei Lao Hu, have learned a lesson from young Master Jiang's methods today. HMPH. Lei Lao Hu said coldly, turned around and walked out of the hotel with his people. This was his last stubbornness as a big boss. Tonight, he lost all his face. He naturally hated Jiang Bai in his heart. Arfu, how are you? Are you seriously injured? After Lei Lao Hu left completely, Jiang Bai hurried to Arfu. Arfu winked at Jiang Bai, looked at the wound on his leg, and said nothing. Let's go. I'll go with you to the hospital. Jiang Bai helped Arfu up and walked out of the hotel with Fang Ling and many bodyguards. Before leaving, he did not forget to take the woman with him. He always felt that something was wrong with this matter. Looking at their backs, Prince Atte shook his head helplessly. Lei Lao Hu, you really bowed your head. This Jiang family's eldest son is not a good person either. The protagonists left the stage one after another, and the rich people on the second floor and above dared to talk about it at this time. Today, they saw what it means to be a newborn calf who is not afraid of a tiger. The name Jiang Bai was deeply remembered by them. A master who dared to offend even Lei Lao Hu must not be offended. The little golden man came on. Jiang Bai was about to order the driver to drive to the hospital, but Arfu suddenly said. That. Young Master Jiang. Actually, I'm fine. I was shot, how could I be fine? Jiang Bai said in disbelief. The little golden man ran all the way and stopped at the door of a hospital. Jiang Bai walked into the hospital with hundreds of bodyguards, which frightened the patients around him. You all go wait for me outside. Jiang Bai waved his hand and walked into the emergency room with Arfu and Fang Ling. After all the formalities were completed, Jiang Bai left a dozen bodyguards to protect Arfu. Turning around and taking the rest of the bodyguards and Fang Ling out of the hospital. He was going to interrogate the woman. He didn't believe that Arfu's charm was so great that a woman would take the initiative to pay for him. There must be some trick in this. Young Master Jiang. Young Master Jiang, let me go. In the presidential suite of the 7-star hotel, the woman knelt on the ground and cried to Jiang Bai for mercy. Tell me, who ordered you to do everything in the art hotel? Jiang Bai sat on the sofa and said expressionlessly. The meaning of his words made the woman shudder. Young Master Jiang, really no one ordered me, please let me go. The woman said pitifully. Looking at the group of black-clad bodyguards around him, he felt terrified. Jiang Bai didn't believe the woman's words at all, and asked lightly. I'll give you one last chance, tell me who ordered you. Otherwise, I'll make you live a life worse than death. Really no one ordered me. A trace of hesitation flashed in the woman's eyes, and she said with a dodging look. Her eyes did not escape Jiang Bai's eyes. Jiang Bai waved at the bodyguards around him and said. Hand this woman over to Lei Lao Hu, and tell Lei Lao that I don't care about this woman anymore." The woman was shocked, her whole body began to tremble, and she shouted in panic. "No, no. Please let me go." She knew Lei Lao's methods. Once she fell into Lei Lao's hands, she would be skinned alive even if she didn't die. Especially after Lei Lao lost face because of her. Lei Lao would be furious and make her live a life worse than death. "Take her away." Jiang Bai waved his hands impatiently. He didn't care whether the woman lived or died after being handed over to Lei Lao. He just wanted to know what he wanted to know. He believed that Lei Lao could definitely get the result he wanted from the woman. The 4 bodyguards heard it, dragged the woman forward, and walked out of the presidential suite. "Let me go, please let me go. Why do you have to embarrass me, a woman?" The woman shouted in fear, struggling hard. "Embarrass you, a woman?" Jiang Bai's face suddenly became unhappy when he heard the woman say that. He waved his hand to interrupt the bodyguard's action, stood up from the sofa, and walked to the woman step by step. He reached out and hooked the panicked face of the woman, and said in a cold tone, "Do you know how much trouble you have caused me? Even if I kill you, it would be considered light. I'll give you one last chance. Tell me who ordered you. Otherwise, you will definitely regret coming to this world." I. The woman was about to deny it. But she saw that Jiang Bai was staring at her with a pair of emotionless eyes. Looking at these eyes, the woman was terrified. She knew that if she didn't tell the truth, she would be finished. She trembled and said in a trembling voice, "It was a woman who asked me to do this. She said that as long as I provoke a conflict between you and Lei Lao, she would give me $10 million US. Woman. Jiang Bai frowned slightly. He knew that this matter was not that simple. How could a famous lady who went in and out of the upper class hook up with our Fu in public? Even though our Fu looks strong, the occasion is not right. Chapter 36 Zhao Wudan is dead. Let me ask you one more question, what does that woman look like? Jiang Bai looked at the woman with dignity. Mu Xue's figure suddenly flashed in his mind. Among all the women in the auction, only Mu Xue had a grudge against him. After all, he personally ruined the Mu group and drove Mu Ben crazy. Thinking of this, Jiang Bai hurriedly took out his mobile phone, opened Mu Xue's photo, handed it to the woman and asked, "But this woman instructed you?" The woman looked at Mu Xue's photo and nodded hurriedly. It's her. She asked me to throw myself into the arms of that red-haired man and give me $10 million US after the job is done. It's her." A murderous intent flashed in Jiang Bai's eyes. He had already let Mu Xue go in China. After all, China is not like abroad. It's not easy for him to attack Mu Xue directly if Mu Xue didn't break the law. Now, Mu Xue not only came to a foreign country, but also tripped him up behind his back. She is indeed a green tea bitch. If that's the case, don't blame him for being ruthless and merciless. "Mr. Jiang, please let me go. I can sleep with you, anything is fine." The woman looked at Jiang Bai and begged bitterly. Jiang Bai listened to the woman's cry, and a plan suddenly came to his mind. Since Mu Xue dared to cheat him behind his back, why didn't he cheat Mu Xue back? He put on a smile and looked at the woman with a smile on his face. "If you want me to let you go, you can. But, you have to do me a favor." What favor?" the woman asked tremblingly. At this moment, she suddenly regretted agreeing to Mu Xue's conditions. If she was given another chance, she would definitely not agree. "It's just a simple favor. I'll take you to see Lei Lao, and you just need to tell Lei Lao these words truthfully." Jiang Bai said with a smile on his face. Little did he know that his smile was no less than the devil's in the woman's eyes. The woman shuddered when she thought of Lei Lao's cruelty, and shook her head in fear. "Let me go, please let me go. I don't want to see Lei Lao, he will definitely kill me." The smile on Jiang Bai's face was wiped out immediately, and he said with a bad face, "Go, I will guarantee that you will be safe. If you don't go, I will let my bodyguards take turns to kill you." While speaking, Jiang Bai pointed to the dozens of bodyguards behind him. Fang Ling stood aside, looking at the woman's miserable appearance, and felt a little bit reluctant. But she knew what to ask and what not to ask. The scenes that happened tonight completely overturned her perception of society. Lei Lao's cruelty, the scene of killing people without mercy. Jiang Bai's expressionless face when the man's limbs were broken by our Fu. These scenes filled her mind and could not be forgotten. She thought that all this was far away from her. It only existed in movies and TV dramas. But now, all this is truly presented in front of her. She couldn't help but think of Jiang Bai's words. This world is far from as beautiful as you think. Linga, remember. I, Jiang Bai, would rather betray the world than you, Fang Ling. Thinking of these words, Fang Ling smiled foolishly, and her heart was extremely sweet. I don't know how much time has passed. Jiang Bai looked at Fang Ling, who was grinning foolishly, and waved his hand in front of Fang Ling with a blank face. Ling, what are you grinning foolishly about? Ling. Jiang Bai shouted 3 times in a row, and Fang Ling came back to her senses. Looking at Jiang Bai, who was close to her face, Fang Ling's face suddenly turned red. Ling, what are you grinning at? Jiang Bai asked in confusion. He found that Fang Ling seemed to have changed and became a little dazed. Could she be pregnant? Jiang Bai subconsciously looked at Fang Ling's belly. Fang Ling's face turned even redder, and she asked shyly, Husband, what are you looking at? I'm looking at whether you are pregnant. A person can grin for 10 minutes. How can you get pregnant so quickly? Fang Ling shyly turned her head away and stopped looking at Jiang Bai. No. Then let's try harder. That night, Jiang Bai tried to sew again. The sky gradually brightened. New sunlight sprinkled on the ground. Before Jiang Bai got up. Dingling, the phone rang again. Hello? What's the matter? Jiang Bai asked unhappily. Jiang Xiao, Zhao Wudan was killed. He said timidly on the phone. What? Jiang Bai exclaimed, and sat up from the bed, all sleepiness gone. Husband, what happened? Fang Ling was woken up by Jiang Bai, and asked with dazed eyes. Zhao Wudan was killed. Jiang Bai turned his head and looked at Fang Ling seriously. Zhao Wudan is dead. Fang Ling showed a surprised expression on her face. Zhao Wudan was fine last night, how could he be killed today? Is human life really so worthless? No, the kingdom of art is no longer safe. Ling, you must return to China as soon as possible. Jiang Bai hung up the phone and hurriedly arranged a private plane for Fang Ling. Zhao Wudan's death made him feel a sense of crisis. This is a feeling he has never had before. In the original book, although Zhao Wudan died in the end, he did not die in the kingdom of art. It can only be said that his arrival changed the fate of some characters. Husband, will you come back with me? Fang Ling asked. Jiang Bai shook his head and said, I still have some things to deal with. You go back alone first. If you don't go back, then I won't go back either. Fang Ling said with a firm face. Through Zhao Wudan's death and Jiang Bai's reaction, she could see that the kingdom of 8 didn't seem to be safe. But that's why she couldn't leave. She had to stay with Jiang Bai all the time. Accompany Jiang Bai to face danger together. Ling, Zhao Wudan, as the eldest son of the Zhao family, was killed. If you stay, you will only increase the danger. Return home quickly. There is no room for negotiation on this matter. Jiang Bai said without question. But just when Fang Ling was about to open her mouth to refute, dingling, a phone rang. Jiang Bai answered the phone. Prince Atte's cold voice sounded on the phone. Young Master Jiang, Bei Zhao accused you of killing Zhao Wudan, and asked you to bring your wife to Atte's wine shop. Without waiting for Jiang Bai to speak. With a beep, the phone was hung up unilaterally by Atte. Damn it! Jiang Bai threw the phone on the bed and shouted angrily. He was not angry about Zhao Wudan's death. But he was angry because the matter was out of his control. Zhao Wudan's death told him that the original work was not fixed according to the plot. No, we have to speed up and kill Ye Tian. Thinking of this, Jiang Bai picked up the phone and called Jiang's father. After 3 beeps, the call was connected. Old fox, I need some manpower. I guess I can't leave Atte Kingdom for a while. Let Mr. Li keep an eye on the company first. No problem. Jiang's father only said 4 short words and hung up the phone. Chapter 37 Frame up. Ling, you can't go back to your country this time even if you want to. Jiang Bai looked at Fang Ling and said helplessly. Fang Ling smiled, put her arms around Jiang Bai's waist and said, if you can't go back, then don't go back. Wherever you go, I'll follow you. Why? Jiang Bai let out a long sigh. On the fourth floor of Art Hotel, in the presidential suite for O4. A group of people frowned as they gathered around a corpse. In front of the corpse, a young man was wailing loudly. Brother, why did you die? It must be Jiang Bai. He sent someone to kill you. Zhao Wuji cried loudly, with strong hatred in his eyes. Zhao Wuji, we still need evidence to prove whether Jiang Bai killed Zhao Wudan. Without evidence, we cannot just frame others. Prince Atte said with a gloomy face. No matter who killed Zhao Wudan, he was killed in their country. Moreover, Zhao Wudan was a guest invited by him to attend the auction. He had already thought about the adverse impact that Zhao Wudan's death would have on their country once it became known. The tycoons and wealthy people around the world will all think that their kingdom of art is not well protected. Even the special guests cannot be protected, thereby reducing investment in their kingdom of art. It must be Jiang Bai, there's no doubt about it. Jiang Bai sent someone to kill my brother because my brother stole his favorite golden scepter. Zhao Wuji roared angrily. His words made Prince Atte frown slightly. During the entire auction, the only person who had a conflict with Zhao Wudan was Jiang Bai. The only one who had a motive to kill was Jiang Bai. But it's not worth killing Zhao Wudan just for a scepter, right? Prince Atte felt doubtful and turned to the captain of the soldiers beside him and asked. Have you found out the cause of Zhao Wudan's death? The captain of the soldiers frowned, saluted and said, shoot him to death. What about surveillance? Did the surveillance camera see who did it? Prince Atte continued to ask. No, the surveillance is normal. I just saw Zhao Wudan walking in with a woman in his arms. The captain of the soldiers said with a serious face. As they were talking, footsteps were heard outside the door. Jiang Bai walked into the room with Fang Ling and dozens of fully armed bodyguards behind them. When Zhao Wuji saw Jiang Bai coming, he rushed over like crazy. He grabbed Jiang Bai's tie with his right hand and asked harshly. It's you. You sent someone to kill my brother, right? Jiang Bai pushed Zhao Wuji's hand away and said expressionlessly. Who is your brother to deserve my assassination? It must be you. Zhao Wuji reached out to grab Jiang Bai's tie, but was kicked to the ground by Jiang Bai. He hates people who frame him for no reason. He never gives a good face to people like Zhao Wuji. Young Master Jiang, Zhao Wuji accused you of sending someone to assassinate Zhao Wudan. What do you think about this? Prince Atte looked at Jiang Bai with serious eyes. He hopes to find the real murderer as soon as possible more than anyone else. In response to Atte's question, Jiang Bai shrugged lightly and replied. Prince Atte, you all know what kind of person I am. I have always been kind to others. How could I possibly be the one to assassinate Zhao Wudan? Forehead. When Prince Atte heard Jiang Bai's words, the corners of his mouth couldn't help but twitch. He still vividly remembered the scene of Jiang Bai threatening Lei Lao last night. If Jiang Bai has always been kind to others, then he would be a great good man for 10 generations. Jiang Bai, it's you. My brother has never offended anyone except you. Zhao Wuji fell to the ground and yelled loudly. His words made Jiang Bai frown slightly, but he said without changing his expression. Zhao Wuji, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. You need evidence for everything. If you speak without evidence, I can sue you for false accusations at the United Nations and use the Jiang group to suppress your Zhao group. Aye. Zhao Wuji hesitated, with a hint of fear in his eyes. He felt guilty. He couldn't afford the consequences that Jiang Bai mentioned. Young Master Jiang, can I ask you a few questions? Captain Tony, the captain of the soldiers, suddenly asked Jiang Bai. Jiang Bai glanced at Tony and nodded. Okay, go ahead and ask. I want to ask Mr. Jiang, where did you go after you left the hotel last night? Who did you call along the way? Is there any evidence to prove your innocence? Please answer me truthfully, Mr. Jiang. Tony said solemnly. Jiang Bai nodded gently and said, okay, of course. However, before I answer these questions, I want to ask. What evidence do you have to conclude that I am the murderer? Just based on what Zhao Wuji said. Of course not. Prince Atte clapped his hands, and 2 Atte soldiers escorted a famous girl with a 95-point appearance into the room. It is not difficult to tell from Minga's trembling body that she is very nervous at the moment. I was very frightened. Tell me everything you saw yesterday. Atte pointed at the famous girl and said without question. Yes, yes, yes. Mingari suppressed her inner fear, glanced at Zhao Wuji secretly, and spoke tremblingly. Last night, after Zhao Wudan and I went to bed, a man in black rushed into the room and shot Zhao Wudan in the forehead. Just as I was about to scream, my vision went dark and I passed out. I vaguely heard the words, Golden Scepter. After saying this, Mingari lowered her head, not daring to look at the crowd's gazes. Young Master Jiang, what do you want to say about this? Of all the people present here, only you and Mu Xue are interested in the Golden Scepter. At present, you are the most likely suspect in the murder of Zhao Wudan. Most importantly, the Golden Scepter is missing. Prince Atte turned his gaze towards Jiang Bai. Jiang Bai fell into deep thought. It was not that he was brooding over his innocence. A man of integrity fears no crooked shadow. He didn't kill Zhao Wudan, he just didn't kill him. If Zhao Wuji insists on framing him, the Jiang family will not be a pushover. What really worried him was the disappearance of the Golden Scepter. It is not difficult to hear from Mingari's words that the killer seems to have come for the Golden Scepter. No, the murderer definitely didn't want the Golden Scepter. Jiang Bai suddenly reacted. In the original book, only an old man knows the secret of the Golden Scepter. Now at him. Even Ye Tian doesn't know the secret of the Golden Scepter. How could the murderer come just for the Golden Scepter? In an instant, a bold idea flashed through Jiang Bai's mind. If we were to say who benefited the most from Zhao Wudan's death, it would undoubtedly be Zhao Wuji. Thinking of this, Jiang Bai's pupils suddenly sank. He looked at Mingari and Zhao Wuji with an ambiguous look in his eyes. Mingari and Zhao Wuji were stared at by Jiang Bai and suddenly became uneasy. My heart was beating wildly. I felt inexplicably uneasy in my heart. Especially Zhao Wuji, his heart was in turmoil. It was as if Jiang Bai saw through his heart. No, he won't notice anything. Zhao Wuji comforted himself in his heart. A lot of sweat unconsciously overflowed from the palms of my hands. With a gulp, he swallowed a mouthful of saliva subconsciously in his throat. Where is the Golden Scepter? Jiang Bai suddenly asked. Exist. Zhao Wuji was about to speak when he suddenly reacted and pointed at Jiang Bai and shouted. Jiang Bai, you killed my brother. We in the Zhao family will never let you go. You are deceiving yourself. Jiang Bai turned around and walked out of the room. Chapter 38 Goodbye Mu Xue. Prince Atte, Zhao Wudan was definitely not killed by my husband. Please make sure you investigate thoroughly and clear my husband's name. Fang Ling said something and quickly followed Jiang Bai out of the room. Zhao Wudan is a distinguished guest I invited. I will definitely investigate the cause of his death. Prince Atte shouted as he looked at the two's backs. In the absence of sufficient evidence, he was unable to forcibly detain Jiang Bai. We can only let the two of them leave, as long as they don't leave the capital of Atte. After Jiang Bai walked out of the hotel with Fang Ling, he said to the bodyguard behind him. Send someone to keep an eye on Zhao Wuji and find out where he hid the Golden Scepter. He is not a fool, he can see Zhao Wuji's nervousness. If there is anyone who would benefit the most from Zhao Wudan's death, it would undoubtedly be Zhao Wuji. Only when Zhao Wudan died, would the inheritance rights of the Zhao family fall into the hands of Zhao Wuji. The reason he didn't say it in the room was because he had no evidence. Hubby, what should we do next? Fang Ling asked with a bewildered look on her face. What happened that day left her a little overwhelmed. She was just a secretary before. She had never come across such a thing where people died easily. Go back to their hotel. Jiang Bai said without any doubt. The little golden man ran all the way and stopped at the door of the hotel. Jiang Bai walked into the suite with Fang Ling, waved away the bodyguards behind him, took out his cell phone, and dialed a number. Help me investigate the cause of Zhao Wudan's death. Also, I want to know where Mu Xue is now. After saying that, Jiang Bai hung up the phone. Time passes slowly. Night is falling. With a ding, Jiang Bai's cell phone rang. A map appeared on Jiang Bai's phone. Mu Xue's current location is marked on the map. Come on, accompany me to meet an old friend. Jiang Bai put on his clothes, took Fang Ling out of their hotel, got on the little golden man and went straight to their hotel where Mu Xue was. Inside an ordinary hotel. Mu Xue was lying on the bed alone. In her mind, scenes of her and Jiang Bai together emerged. Tears welled up in her eyes. She asked herself, did she really not like Jiang Bai? I'm afraid not. After so many years, even if I raise a cat or a dog, I will develop feelings for it. How could she and Jiang Bai have no feelings for each other? It's a pity that she accidentally lost Jiang Bai. If she had given Jiang Bai a little warmth at the beginning, would the ending be different? Her adoptive father wouldn't be crazy. Her mother will also be able to receive effective treatment and will not die. All these consequences were caused by her. Regret and self-blame surged into Mu Xue's heart. Boom boom boom. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. With a drip. The door of the room was open from the outside under Mu Xue's horrified gaze. The figures of Jiang Bai and Fang Ling appeared in Mu Xue's eyes. Mu Xue looked at the two figures and suddenly sat on the bed, her eyes full of disbelief. She never thought that Jiang Bai and Fang Ling would come to see her. He quickly reached out to wipe the tears from his face and asked with a cold expression, "What are you doing here?" "Come to see how miserable I am now. Miss Mu." Fang Ling was about to speak, but Mu Xue waved her hand and said impatiently, "Don't call me Miss Mu. I'm not a miss anymore. All this is thanks to the man next to you." As she spoke, Mu Xue looked at Jiang Bai with eyes full of hatred, as if she wanted to eat Jiang Bai alive. "You are wrong, Mu Xue." Jiang Bai shook his head gently and sat next to Mu Xue. Looking at Mu Xue's red eyes from crying, Jiang Bai felt as if his heart was being pulled and suddenly felt a little distressed. In his memory, he and Mu Xue grew up together, ate together, and played together. However, as time went by, the distance between the two of them grew larger and larger. Especially after Mu Xue found out that she and Jiang Bai were engaged. He never gave Jiang Bai a good look. This is all fate. Jiang Bai subconsciously reached out his hand and gently stroked Mu Xue's face. This was the face he had kissed when he was a child. How happy they were when they were little. Unfortunately, they have different identities and positions in the book. I recalled what the system said again. The protagonist and the villain are born to be enemies. This is your inescapable fate. Mu Xue let Jiang Bai caress her without any resistance. She hadn't enjoyed the feeling of being touched by Jiang Bai for a long time. She couldn't remember the last time Jiang Bai touched her. Was it 5 years ago or 10 years ago? Too long. She almost forgot about it after a long time. Fang Ling stood aside in silence, watching the two of them quietly. She knew that this would be the last time Jiang Bai saw Mu Xue. On their way, Jiang Bai specially prepared a gift for Mu Xue. "Is Ye Tian good to you?" Jiang Bai suddenly asked. Mu Xue was silent. Her heart is filled with bitterness. She originally thought she was Ye Tian's only one. In fact, it is not the case. She is just one of Ye Tian's. Although Ye Tian was usually nice to her. But she couldn't accept Ye Tian's philandering character. Looking at Fang Ling beside Jiang Bai, Mu Xue suddenly felt a little envious. I envy Fang Ling for being able to always stand by Jiang Bai's side. Does he have many wives? Jiang Bai asked again. He knew it clearly. Any protagonist like Ye Tian is a proud and arrogant person. They look at the world with the attitude of playing life. There are always all kinds of beauties around me. Do you regret it now? Jiang Bai asked for the third time. His words resounded in Mu Xue's mind like thunder. There was a gloomy look in Mu Xue's eyes. Do you regret it? She also didn't know whether she would regret it or not. But she knew that she had no choice but to follow Ye Tian. After being rejected by Jiang Bai last time, she had no way out. I chose the path I wanted to take. I don't regret it, and I don't regret the choice I made. Mu Xue smiled bitterly and shook her head. No, you do. Jiang Bai took out a pill from his pocket, handed it to Mu Xue, and said, "It's a huge dose of sleeping pills. As long as you eat it, you will fall into a sweet dream forever." Yeah. Mu Xue smiled sweetly and was not so resistant to death. "Eat it, and you'll be free," Jiang Bai said in a soft voice. The meaning in the tone made Mu Xue shudder and feel hopeless. Looking at Jiang Bai's cheerful face, Mu Xue's eyes were tinged with sadness. She and Jiang Bai have known each other for 17 years, and Jiang Bai has been pursuing her for 10 years. I've been pestering her since I was a little kid. In the end, the person who destroyed her family and wanted to kill her was actually Jiang Bai. Har har. Mu Xue laughed miserably, staring at Jiang Bai with her eyes fixed. This man who used to be her bootlicker is now trying to destroy her life. Do you want to do it yourself, or let me do it? Jiang Bai asked gently. This was the last time he spoke gently to Mu Xue. Next time, they will be separated by thousands of miles. Can you tell me why? Why did you destroy my family? Why? Mu Xue took the sleeping pills and asked calmly. She was filled with confusion. Before she died, she just wanted an explanation from Jiang Bai. Chapter 39 Mu Xue ends. Because of Ye Tian. There was no hatred between you and me. It was Ye Tian who harmed you. Jiang Bai said bluntly. Ye Tian. Mu Xue smiled knowingly, looked at Jiang Bai tenderly, and said. Jiang Bai, can I make one last request of you? When a man is about to die, his words are good. After years of friendship, Jiang Bai couldn't bear to refuse, so he said, you go ahead. Jiang Bai, I want to borrow your shoulder. Just like when we were little, I want to rest my head on your shoulder. Mu Xue looked at Jiang Bai with expectation. Jiang Bai turned his head and glanced at Fang Ling, recalling every detail of his and Mu Xue's childhood. He nodded gently and said, okay. Thanks. Mu Xue smiled and gently leaned her head on Jiang Bai's shoulder. How many years? It has been many years since she last leaned on Jiang Bai's shoulder. It turns out that Jiang Bai's shoulders are so warm and reassuring. At this moment, Mu Xue felt extremely comfortable and relaxed. He reached out and stuffed the sleeping pills into his mouth without hesitation. Do you remember the time we were scolded in your backyard when we were little? Mu Xue raised her eyes to look at Jiang Bai's profile. He was so handsome. I remember. Jiang Bai's thoughts went back to 10 years ago. That year, on the swing in his garden. A girl rests her head on a little boy's shoulder. Just like he is with Mu Xue now. Looking at the butterflies flying through the garden, the little girl asked the little boy innocently. Will we be like this in the future? We can be together every day. Eat together, study together, and play together. The little boy patted his chest and assured, of course. My father once said, hold your hand and grow old with you. When I grow up, I will ask your father for marriage, so that we can be together forever. Then let's make a pinky promise. The little girl gave the little boy a pinky finger. We'll make a promise and stick to it for 100 years. Mu Xue extended her little finger towards Jiang Bai. Jiang Bai's eyes turned red and he stretched out his little finger to hook it with Mu Xue's. Hold your hand and grow old with you. Mu Xue said softly, with a satisfied smile on her face, and slowly closed her eyes. The little finger slipped weakly from Jiang Bai's hand. Holding you by the hand, I will grow old with you. Jiang Bai looked at the peaceful smile on Mu Xue's face, and his thoughts went back to that year again. The little girl and the little boy sat on the swing with their little fingers tightly hooked together. Make a promise for the rest of your life. Their faces were filled with happy smiles. Jiang Bai seemed to hear the voices of a little boy and a little girl. Hold your hand and grow old with you. Tick, tick. Tears wet Jiang Bai's eyes and dripped onto the ground. Looking at the last smile on Mu Xue's face, Jiang Bai gently hugged Mu Xue in his arms. He and she had known each other for more than 10 years and grew up together, but in the end they were not able to be together. Accompanied by drops of tears. This relationship finally came to an end with Mu Xue's death. Congratulations to their host, you have plundered 15,000 points of luck. The sound of the system did not disturb Jiang Bai. Jiang Bai gently placed Mu Xue on the bed and covered her with a quilt. Looking at Mu Xue's peaceful sleeping face, Jiang Bai spoke softly. Go to sleep. I hope that in the next life, you and I can meet again. After saying that, Jiang Bai walked out of the room without looking back. After all, his heart is made of flesh. Even though he knew that Mu Xue would eventually destroy his family. But the moment Mu Xue closed her eyes for the last time, his heart ached. He felt a little reluctant and sad. At that moment, he really softened his heart and had the idea of letting Mu Xue go. President. President, wait for me. Fang Ling chased after him and shouted. Why do you call me president again? Jiang Bai forced a smile on his face. I still think it's easier to call you president. After all, in my mind, you have always been the image of a domineering president. Fang Ling lowered her head unconsciously, and a blush appeared on her face. She has also read books like The Domineering President Falls in Love with Me. It is easy to overlap the male protagonist in the book with Jiang Bai. As you wish. Jiang Bai put his arm around Fang Ling's waist and left the hotel step by step. Boss, where are we going? Do you want me to have a few drinks with you? Fang Ling tried to ask, with a hint of worry in her eyes. Okay. Jiang Bai took Fang Ling and dozens of bodyguards and went straight to the bar. As soon as he walked in, he alarmed the bar manager. The bar wasn't open yet. Jiang Bai directly handed a black card to the bar manager and said, I'm in a bad mood today, so I booked this bar. This. The bar manager looked at the black card and hesitated. He really has no say in this matter. Forget it, I'll buy this bar. Go call your boss over and name a price. Jiang Bai said without any doubt. This. Cold sweat broke out on the bar manager's forehead. I ran to the boss's office without any delay. Which family is this young master from? He just hesitated for a moment and then decided to buy the bar. Not long after, the bar owner came to Jiang Bai. Looking at the black card in Jiang Bai's hand, the boss immediately became respectful. Are you the owner of this bar? Name a price. I'll buy this bar. Jiang Bai said expressionlessly. The bar owner cautiously held up a finger. 100 million. Jiang Bai frowned slightly, and his eyes became somewhat unfriendly. Do you really think he is a sucker? The dozen or so bodyguards behind him sensed that Jiang Bai's gaze had changed again and instantly surrounded the boss. 10 million US dollars. The boss said, trembling. Make a deal. Jiang Bai threw the black card to the bar owner without saying a word. The boss took the black card and started the transfer procedures as quickly as possible. After all the formalities were completed, people started to come into the bar one after another. DJ music played in the bar. Fang Ling and Jiang Bai sat in the booth in the center, drinking glass after glass of wine. Looking at the dancing crowd around him, Jiang Bai suddenly had an idea. He reached out and called the bar manager over and whispered in his ear. Go, tell everyone. This young master will pay for all their consumption tonight. Yes, boss. The bar manager felt ashamed. He turned around, took out the microphone, and shouted, all expenses for tonight will be paid by young Master Jiang. As soon as these words were spoken, they immediately aroused dissatisfaction among the rich second generation. 5 second-generation rich men and their 6 female companions stood up and walked towards the bar manager in a menacing manner. The rich second-generation leader reached out and grabbed the microphone from the bar manager and shouted loudly. Who is Mr. Jiang? Come out and tell me who paid for it. I'm here. Jiang Bai stood up fearlessly and waved at the 5 rich second generations. The 5 second-generation rich men dropped their microphones and ran straight to Jiang Bai. They sat opposite Jiang Bai without any hesitation and shouted. Who are you? Who asked you to pay for us? Who are you looking down on? He. Jiang Bai smiled gently. I know in my heart that these are just a few young masters who have been spoiled by their families. Little did he know that his smile was seen by the rich second generation and they thought he was mocking them. Suddenly he became very angry. Chapter 40, Then Rich. I mean it. He seems to be looking down on you, dear. A lightly made-up female companion snuggled in the arms of the leading rich second generation man and said. The rich second generation suddenly felt a little embarrassed, pointed at Jiang Bai and asked arrogantly. Boy, do you dare to compete with me? I have never lost in money before. Okay, how do we compare? Jiang Bai's originally depressed mood was amused by these 5 rich second generations. The thought of teasing them arose in my mind. When the rich second generation heard that Jiang Bai wanted to compete, in order to save his face, he shouted to the bar manager. Give me a bottle of wine worth 300,000. The bar manager looked at the rich second generations with a joking look. He still vividly remembered Jiang Bai's heroic look when he bought the bar just now. 10 million US dollars was paid by credit card without any hesitation. Comparing money with this rich sponsor is like comparing life expectancy with a birthday star. Go quickly, what are you still doing? Seeing the bar manager standing still, the rich second generation urged him loudly. I'm going. The bar manager turned and left. My dear, you are amazing. You ordered a bottle of wine worth $300,000 just by asking. The female companion looked at the rich second generation with admiration. The rich second generation raised his head proudly and said, "Only 300,000. When it comes to money, I have never lost. Honey, you're awesome." The female companion kissed the rich second generation on the face. The rich second generation's vanity instantly reached its peak, and he looked at Jiang Bai with a haughty expression. "Next, it's your turn to order." "Okay." Jiang Bai waved his hand and called a waiter over. "Tell your manager to bring me 10 bottles of wine that young master just ordered." 10 bottles, just blow it. After hearing this, the 5 rich second generations and their female companions looked at Jiang Bai with disdain. Especially after seeing the cheap wine on Jiang Bai's table, he looked at Jiang Bai with even more contempt. Fang Ling sat next to Jiang Bai with a smile on her face. She knew that these second-generation rich people were going to be cheated by Jiang Bai. "Young masters, your wine." The bar manager was quick and careful in placing a bottle of red wine in front of the rich second generation. The second-generation rich man raised his eyelids at Jiang Bai proudly. It seems to be saying, "Where is your wine?" "Hey, I just heard that someone wanted to order 10 bottles of wine. This bottle of wine costs 300,000. If some people don't have money, they shouldn't brag." Another female companion of the rich second generation snuggled in the rich second generation's arms and said sarcastically. Her words resonated with several rich second generations. "That's right, you're not afraid of getting your tongue stuck when you brag." The second generation rich looked at Jiang Bai with arrogance. They seemed to have seen the scene of Jiang Bai leaving in dejection. Their inner vanity explodes, especially in front of their female companions. Just at this moment, 2 waiters brought 10 bottles of identical wine and placed them in front of Jiang Bai. "Mr. Jiang, your wine. Open it wide open." Jiang Bai said nonchalantly. Bang bang bang. 10 bottles of wine were opened. The smiles on the faces of the rich second generations disappeared instantly. More than a dozen pairs of eyes looked at Jiang Bai in disbelief, all open. "My dear, you are so great. You spent 3 million in one go." Fang Ling imitated the behavior of her rich second-generation female companion, snuggled in Jiang Bai's arms, raised her head and kissed Jiang Bai on the face. Jiang Bai raised his head and said proudly, "It's only 3 million. When I make a move, the price is never less than 1 million. Is it still considered money if it's less than 1 million? Snap. The 5 second-generation rich men felt as if Jiang Bai had slapped them hard in the face. It hurts so much. For a moment, I felt a little ashamed. Pain. It really hurts. What's wrong, young masters? Are you scared by a mere 3 million? Jiang Bai looked at the rich second generations with a smile in his eyes, and there was an indescribable teasing in his tone. How could I lose? It's just 3 million. I have the money. The leading rich second generation calculated in his mind. Turning his head to look at the 4 rich second generations beside him, his morale suddenly became high. Even if he doesn't have enough money by himself, doesn't he still have help? Even if 5 people get together, he still doesn't believe that he can lose to Jiang Bai. He then said to the bar manager, "Give me 20 bottles. I don't believe he can be richer than me." Okay. The bar manager left happily. Young master is so generous. It's just 3 million, isn't it? Who is afraid of who? The rich second generation's female companion started to act up again and flattered the rich second generation. Don't worry, I've never lost before. The rich second generation took out a cigarette and put it in his mouth, saying it with confidence. Seeing this, his female companion quickly took out her lighter and lit it. Whoosh, a puff of smoke was blown toward Jiang Bai. Young master, your wine. The bar manager went and came back as quickly as possible and placed 20 bottles of wine in front of the rich second generation. Open them all for me. The rich second generation hugged his female companion and spoke arrogantly. His hands would occasionally touch some indescribable places on his female companion's body. Bang 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 bang. 20 bottles were opened in a row. The table was filled with drinks. Their movements finally attracted the attention of people around them. All pairs of eyes were staring at Jiang Bai and the rich second generation. Even the sexy girl dancing on the stage couldn't be attracted away. Well, I'll tell you, I've never lost money before. The rich second generation said excitedly. The look he gave Jiang Bai turned into contempt again. Why? Jiang Bai finally understood that these second-generation rich people were seriously ill. Who is he? He is the owner of the bar. Can he lose by spending money in the bar? He shouted to the bar manager, "Bring me another 20 bottles." Bang bang bang. There was another burst of sound. The rich second-generation leader felt a little insecure. All his money combined was no more than 10 million, and that was just the pocket money he had saved for a year. Now that more than 6 million has been spent, he only has enough money left to order 10 bottles of wine. How about admitting your guilt? The rich second generation thought truthfully in his heart. As soon as the thought came to his mind, he threw it out of his mind. Looking at the woman in his arms, he didn't want to lose face in front of her. This is the school belle of their school. He pursued for a long time before he got this opportunity to come out and play together. No, I can't lose face. The rich second generation thought about it and looked to other rich second generations for help. The other 4 rich second generations were very perceptive and whispered in the ear of the leading rich second generation. I still have 3 million in my card. I also have 5 million in my card. I only have 1 million. I have 6 million. Okay. For his school beauty, so that he could win her heart. The leading rich second generation stood up directly, put one foot on the table, and shouted loudly. For the woman I love, give me another 50 bottles. Today, I will spend a fortune to win a beautiful woman's smile. Chapter 41. My job is to show off my wealth. As soon as these words came out, everyone in the bar looked at the rich second generation with shock. 50 bottles of wine, that's 15 million. Especially the women in the bar, their eyes were full of surprise. A bottle of wine costs 300,000. It is really hard to find a rich second generation man who is willing to spend tens of millions for a woman. They just hate why they are not the ones lying in the arms of the rich second generation. Honey, you're so great. Tonight, I will do whatever you want. The school beauty blinked her eyes and looked at the rich second generation, her eyes filled with deep love. At this moment, the rich second generation felt that he was full of light. It seemed as if he was wearing a red cloak behind him and stepping on colorful auspicious clouds. His life is about to reach its peak. Especially the last sentence of the school beauty made him think about it. Vanity overflowing. Explode, my little universe. The rich second generation shouted with full ambition. Hey! 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 Come down first. You're disturbing me from putting the wine in. Jiang Bai's voice sounded at an inopportune moment, interrupting the rich second generation's fantasy. The rich second generation looked back and saw a row of waiters standing in the aisle next to him. Each waiter held 10 bottles of wine in his arms. Roughly counting, there were no less than 100 bottles of wine. Please make way. I'm going to serve the wine. Jiang Bai shouted impatiently. He looked at the rich second generation like a fool. This guy definitely has a chinibya. The second generation rich man looked at the drink in front of Jiang Bai and suddenly felt that the school beauty next to him was not attractive enough. Hey, are you still going to compete? You're not a rich second generation. With such little money, you dare to call yourself a rich second generation? Jiang Bai said with a high look. A pair of eyes squinted at the rich second generation. The rich second generation stared blankly at the waiter in the aisle. A feeling of regret arises in my heart. He is not a fool. He finally realized that Jiang Bai was a hidden boss. They are foolish enough to compete with the big guys in financial resources. They are simply mentally ill. Are you guys still competing? Jiang Bai asked with a grin. The 5 second generation rich people shook their heads subconsciously. Are you not going to compete anymore? Since you don't want to compete, then return the wine. Jiang Bai said indifferently. The waiter in the aisle was about to return with the drinks. This operation left the rich second generation stunned. Wait, return our drinks too. Another rich second generation reacted and quickly shouted. The bar manager looked at the rich second generation coldly and said unhappily. Your drinks can't be refunded. Why can his wine be refunded but ours can't? The rich second generations quit on the spot and stood up angrily. Jiang Bai smiled slightly and said, because I'm the owner of the bar. If you return the wine, how can I make money? It turns out that this is a black shop. Believe it or not, I will have someone smash your shop. As the rich second generation's voice fell, more than a dozen ferocious-looking men immediately stood up from the surrounding area. These are their bodyguards who have been protecting them secretly. Smash my store. Jiang Bai chuckled and waved his hand, and dozens of bodyguards in black appeared in the venue. Each bodyguard held an AK in his hand. Hiss! The spectators around gasped and immediately turned their eyes away from Jiang Bai and his companions. Pretending to know nothing, he watched the dancers dance seriously. Hey, my shoelaces are untied. A big man bent down and pretended to tie his shoelaces. Oh, my stomach hurts. A dozen big men started to make various excuses. You. The 5-second generation rich men looked around at all the big men and were furious. Facing dozens of AKs, he smiled bitterly and said, "Brother, we are just joking. Quote, we drink, quote. That's right, let's pay." Jiang Bai took out the QR code. Naturally, the 5 rich second generations did not dare to resist. Jiang Bai just listened to a few beeping sounds, and tens of millions were already in his hands. It's delicious. If it's not enough, order a few more bottles. Jiang Bai stepped forward and patted the leading rich second-generation man on the shoulder, then walked out of the bar with Fang Ling. After what the 5 rich second generations did, his mood improved. The most important thing for people is to live in the present and cherish what is in front of them. Let the past drift away with the wind. President, Miss Mu's body. On the way, Fang Ling asked cautiously. Afraid of touching Jiang Bai's inner pain. No matter what, Mu Xue is also Jiang Bai's ex-fiancée. It is never good to leave the body randomly in the hotel. Don't worry about her body. Someone will take care of it. Jiang Bai asked himself this question in his heart more than once. What would happen if he snatched Mu Xue away from Ye Tian? In this way, he can not only gain loot points, but also capture a beautiful woman. But in the end, he gave up the idea. Mu Xue's identity is different from other women. She is the heroine of the book and the fiancée of the original villain. Her existence is to help Ye Tian bring down the Jiang family. The character has already been established by the author. He can change a person's life or death, but he cannot change a person's character. It is easy to change the country, but difficult to change one's nature. Even if he didn't kill Mu Xue would not care about him. Sooner or later, they will help Ye Tian deal with the Jiang family. Rather than waiting until the day when his family is broken up and his loved ones die, it would be better for him to send Mu Xue on her way. After Jiang Bai left, the 5 rich second generations looked at the drinks on the table and became worried. They paid for these, so they had to finish them even if they had to cry. Inside a 7-star hotel. After Jiang Bai and Fang Ling left the bar, they came straight back here. Sitting on the sofa. He waved his hand and asked the bodyguards to bring the woman who was detained in the hotel. Looking at the woman with a pale face and a restless mind, Jiang Bai spoke indifferently. Well, have you thought it through? My patience is limited. Master Jiang, please let me go. Lei Lao who will really kill me. The woman screamed in horror. She shuddered at the thought of Lei Lao who's methods. Even if she were asked to tell lies to Lei Lao who, she wouldn't dare to do so even if she was beaten to death. He will kill you, so I won't kill you. Jiang Bai's eyes darkened, with a strong murderous intent in his eyes. Please, Master Jiang. The woman kowtowed to Jiang Bai with a dong sound. Helpless tears flowed down her eyes. Fang Ling stood aside, feeling somewhat reluctant, and said to Jiang Bai. Boss, can you let me talk to her alone? You? Jiang Bai looked at Fang Ling with a strange look. In his heart, he didn't think Fang Ling could convince a woman. Believe me, President, I can do it. Fang Ling met Jiang Bai's gaze and nodded firmly. Okay, then you try it. If you need anything, remember to call me. Jiang Bai stood up and walked out of the suite. Before leaving, he deliberately left 2 bodyguards for Fang Ling to prevent any accidents. After he left, Fang Ling stepped forward and helped the woman up from the ground. He kept pulling the woman to sit on the sofa, then he slowly spoke. Sister, I know you are afraid of Lei Lao who's power. But there are some things you can't escape. Even if you don't go find Lei Lao who, will Lei Lao who let you go? You should know Lei Lao who's methods better than me. Now that young Master Jiang is protecting you from Lei Lao who, you will be safe for now. But what if young Master Jiang doesn't care about you? What will you do? Chapter 42, Summoning Cards of Characters from All Heavens. I. The woman began to stammer, full of regret. She knew that Lei Lao who would never let her go. It was all her fault for being greedy at the moment, which led to her getting into trouble. Fang Ling stretched out 2 fingers and said lightly, "Sister, there are only 2 options for you. The first rule, cooperate with Master Jiang, and Master Jiang will protect you. Second rule, if you anger young Master Jiang, I'll hand you over to Lei Lao Hu. Sister, you should understand what will happen to a woman once she falls into the hands of evil forces. Not to mention a woman as beautiful as my sister." After hearing this, the woman began to tremble with fear. She knew very well what would happen if she fell into Lei Lao Hu's hands. Various scenes of Lei Lao Hu abusing her emerged in her mind. Cream pie, gangbang, whipping. These scenes linger in the woman's mind. The woman trembled with fear and screamed like crazy. "No. I don't want to fall into Lei Lao Hu's hands. Please, save me. Don't hand me over to Lei Lao Hu." The woman stretched out her hands, grabbed Fang Ling's shoulders and shook her hard. Seeing this, the 2 bodyguards quickly pulled the woman away and pressed her hard on the sofa. "Sister, the only one who can save you now is you. As long as you agree to Master Jiang's conditions, I promise that Master Jiang will protect you," Fang Ling said as she looked at the woman with a smile. She had never threatened anyone like she did today. Be a bad woman in the eyes of others. But for Jiang Bai, she was willing. As long as she can help Jiang Bai, she is willing to do anything. The woman slowly calmed down and looked up at Fang Ling. Fang Ling smiled kindly and said in a gentle tone, "Sister, believe me. I am also a woman, and women will not lie to other women. I understand your feelings, but helping Master Jiang is your only way to survive now." The woman was silent. I wondered in my heart whether I should believe Fang Ling's words. Fang Ling was not in a hurry either. She sat aside, quietly waiting for the woman to speak. The atmosphere fell into silence for a moment. 5 minutes passed. 10 minutes passed. The woman's eyes regained a gleam of light, and she stared at Fang Ling closely, saying, "Are you sure you didn't lie to me? He will protect me." Fang Ling nodded firmly and said, "I'm sure that young Master Jiang will protect you. Women don't lie to other women. Okay, I promise." The woman said, and lowered her head again. As Fang Ling said, she now has no choice but to listen to Jiang Bai. If Jiang Bai ignores her, she will face Lei Lao Hu's thunderous revenge. She is just a powerless woman. How could one resist a gangster like Lei Lao Hu? Oh. The woman laughed at herself inwardly. If she were given another chance to choose, she would definitely not agree to Mu Xue. For $10 million, he put himself in dire straits. "Sister, congratulations on making the right choice." Fang Ling sat up from the sofa and walked straight out of the suite. "Thank you for your hard work, Ling." Outside the suite, Jiang Bai reached out and held Fang Ling in his arms, speaking softly. He heard clearly the conversation between Fang Ling and the woman outside the suite. He didn't expect that Fang Ling, who had always been weak, had also learned how to use intimidation and inducement. "Boss, this is what I should do." Fang Ling smiled slightly, revealing 2 dimples on her face. Although her behavior just now went against her years of education. But she was really happy to be able to help Jiang Bai. "Thank you for your hard work. I'll do this kind of thing from now on." Jiang Bai patted Fang Ling on the back, turned around and walked into the suite. Looking at the helpless woman sitting on the sofa, Jiang Bai sighed silently. No matter what time it is, darkness always exists. When ordinary people encounter gangsters like Lei Lao Hu, they can only accept their fate helplessly. There is no other way. Now that you've made up your mind, go and have a good sleep. As long as you do what I say tomorrow, I'll make sure you're safe. Jiang Bai said something and turned to walk into a room on the side. After hearing this, the woman's eyes lit up. He raised his head and looked at Jiang Bai's back silently. This night is destined to be sleepless. The woman lay in bed, tossing and turning, unable to sleep all night. Thinking about meeting Lei Lao Hu tomorrow, she felt extremely panicked. Jiang Bai and Fang Ling started the 121 movement. No words were spoken that night. The next morning, Jiang Bai walked out of the room refreshed and went into the restaurant. When he passed by the living room, the woman had been waiting for him on the sofa for a long time. Looking at the woman's dark circles, Jiang Bai stretched out his hand and gestured. Let's go have breakfast together. The woman didn't dare to refuse, so she stood up and followed Jiang Bai. At the dining table, the two sat down one by one. Looking at the tofu pudding in front of him, Jiang Bai asked softly, "Do you want sweet or salty?" The woman didn't say anything, she just sat there blankly, looking at Jiang Bai with lifeless eyes. Jiang Bai also disagreed with this. He reached out and added a spoonful of sauce to the tofu pudding, lowered his head and tasted it, then said, It smells so good. Tofu pudding tastes better when it's salty." Jiang Bai swallowed spoonful of tofu pudding into his stomach. The woman looked at the fragrant Jiang Bai and finally couldn't help but speak. You will really protect me and not hand me over to Lei Lao who?" Jiang Bai stopped eating, raised his head, looked at the woman seriously and said, "Do you think I need to lie to you? Thunder Tiger may be powerful, but this is not Country H. In front of me, even if he is a real tiger, he has to lie down." After hearing this, the woman felt relieved. He reached out and took a bowl of tofu pudding, rubbed his hands and feet and started eating. "By the way, what's your name? Did you remember everything I taught you?" Jiang Bai asked while eating tofu pudding. The woman paused for a moment, then slowly said, "My name is Bai Hua. When my flower blooms, all other flowers will die, and the whole city will be covered with golden armor." "Bai Hua, it's a good name." Jiang Bai muttered something, lowered his head and ate the tofu pudding in silence. When he was about to finish eating, Fang Ling came slowly, sat next to him, reached out to take a portion of tofu pudding and started eating. Taking advantage of this gap, Jiang Bai called the system. "System, give me 15 consecutive draws. Lottery in progress. Congratulations to their host for winning skill point +1. Congratulations to their host for winning the advanced chef skill. Congratulations to their host for winning attribute point +1. Congratulations. Congratulations to their host for winning Panjinlian's underwear. Congratulations to their host for winning Wudarlang's sesame cake." The further he pulled back, the darker Jiang Bai's face became. Panjinlian's underwear, Wudarlang's sesame seed bun, what the hell is this? Congratulations to their host for winning the grand prize, a summoning card for a character from the heavens. After 15 draws, Jiang Bai only got 1 attribute point, 1 skill point, and 1 advanced chef skill. The rest is just useless garbage. Fortunately, the last lottery gave him a consolation prize. Otherwise Jiang Bai would have suspected that he had become a poor man. Chapter 43 True. Take your time to eat. I'm going to go out for a while. After saying that, Jiang Bai stood up and walked out of the suite without waiting for Fang Ling to reply. Walking to a trash can in the corridor, Jiang Bai looked around and saw that there were no surveillance cameras. He said to himself, "Extract." All sorts of random things he drew appeared out of thin air in the trash can. A golden card that only Jiang Bai could see appeared in front of him. Character cards of the universe can summon characters from all the universes. The summoned person's loyalty is full and he will never betray. Use. As Jiang Bai's voice fell, a fat man wearing a white short-sleeved shirt on the upper body and black overalls on the lower body appeared in front of him. The fat man is about 2 meters tall and weighs at least 400 kilograms. Name, True. Characteristics, very strong, sumo master. Catchphrase, Sir, I hate eating fish. I hate eating fish the most. True, meet Master Jiang. True stood in front of Jiang Bai, completely blocking Jiang Bai. Jiang Bai felt as if a dark cloud was pressing down on him. He summoned Afu first, and then summoned Toru. This made Jiang Bai wonder if the system could only summon characters from one world. True, right? From now on, you will be my bodyguard. Jiang Bai said this and walked into the suite, with True following closely behind him. As soon as he entered the suite, True's huge body caused many bodyguards to exclaim. But as bodyguards, they know what to ask and what not to ask. In the restaurant, Fang Ling was eating voraciously. Last night, she was exhausted. Jiang Bai was not in a hurry. He sat on the sofa and put his only skill point into ancient martial arts. Adding points completed current ancient martial arts level 10. A memory of practicing martial arts appeared out of nowhere in Jiang Bai's mind. Jiang Bai, Jiang's only son. Identity, big villain. Mission, kill the protagonist Ye Tian. Luck plunder value, 0. Speed, 10. Strength, 10. Constitution, 10. Charm value, 10. Skills, Gunmaster, Parkour, Light as a Swallow, Ancient Martial Arts level 10. Followers, Afu, Toru. As Light as a Swallow can increase your speed by 10 points. 10th level of Ancient Martial Arts strong and powerful, able to fight 10 people at once. Attribute points, 1 point, currently unusable. Finally, I have a skill that is on par with Ye Tian. Jiang Bai looked at his attribute panel and nodded with satisfaction. He went from a frail body to what he is today. This is all thanks to Ye Tian's luck. In other words, as long as the protagonist wools the wool well, he will become stronger and stronger. Sooner or later, one day you will be able to be on par with the gods. Boss, I'm done eating, we can leave now. Fang Ling's voice interrupted Jiang Bai's thoughts. Jiang Bai stood up and waved his hand, saying, "Let's go." Outside the hotel, dozens of little golden men had been waiting for a long time. A familiar figure stood in front of the little golden man. It was Arfu. Arfu, didn't I tell you to recuperate in the hospital? Why did you get discharged? Jiang Bai walked forward and asked with concern. Arfu scratched the back of his head and said sheepishly, "Master Jiang, I was wearing real leather pants that night, and my leg muscles are well developed. The bullet just penetrated my pants and got stuck in my muscles. So I just suffered some minor skin injuries." After saying that, Arfu felt that the sun above his head was blocked by something. When he looked up, he was immediately shocked and pointed at True and shouted, "True, when did you get here? Look at my trick, the crow takes the plane." The two started fighting on the spot. Seeing this, Jiang Bai shouted angrily, "That's enough, stop it. Get your equipment and accompany me to meet the Thunder Tiger." Snort. Arfu snorted coldly at True and stopped his attack. The group got on the little golden man and headed straight for Lei Lao's hotel. On the way, Bai Hua became more and more nervous. She is scared. She was afraid that Jiang Bai would deceive her and hand her over to Lei Lao. "Bai Hua, remember what I told you. As long as you cooperate with me, I promise to bring you out safely." After Jiang Bai finished speaking, he closed his eyes and said nothing more. Driving all their way, the little golden man stopped outside a bar. This bar is Lei Lao's property in the Kingdom of Art. There were 4 doormen standing in front of the bar. Dozens of people watched Jiang Bai get off the car. A doorman did not dare to delay and quickly reported into the earphone at his mouth. Without him reporting, Lei Lao knew that Jiang Bai was coming. Looking at Jiang Bai's figure in the surveillance video, Lei Lao sneered and said, "Go down and make some arrangements. We will give young Master Jiang a big gift later." "Yes." A female bodyguard beside Lei Lao turned and left. "Jiang Bai, you embarrassed me last time at the art hotel. This time, we should settle the accounts." With a click, Lei Lao crushed the walnuts on the plate in his hand with force. Thinking of what happened at the art hotel, he had no place to vent his anger. Shame and disgrace. Apologizing to a younger person who is a generation younger than you will make him feel full of shame. Especially in front of so many prominent figures. How can Lei Lao continue to survive in the underworld in the future? Outside the bar, Jiang Bai looked at the 4 doormen standing in front of him and said coldly, "Get out of the way, a good dog doesn't block the road." As his voice fell, True and Alfu simply reached out and pushed the 4 doormen aside. Jiang Bai, along with Fang Ling and Bai Hua, swaggered into the bar, followed by dozens of bodyguards. In the bar, I found a booth and sat down. Arfu, True and other bodyguards stood behind Jiang Bai. Even Fang Ling stood behind Jiang Bai like a director. "Where is Lei Lao? Call Lei Lao out to me." Jiang Bai shouted arrogantly. There was no awareness at all that he was on someone else's territory. "Hey, isn't this young Master Jiang? What wind brought young Master Jiang here?" Lei Lao's sneer sounded from deep inside the bar. After hearing this, Bai Hua couldn't suppress the fear in her heart and began to tremble all over. Jiang Bai and others looked over when they heard the sound. Lei Lao, wearing a white suit, and a young woman in a black leather jacket, were seen walking slowly towards them. "Lei Lao, you finally came out. I thought you would go to Country H." Jiang Bai said this with a double meaning. Lei Lao shrugged lightly, walked to the booth in front of Jiang Bai and sat down. Looking at Jiang Bai, he said hypocritically, "Young Master Jiang, you haven't left yet, so how can I, Lei Lao, leave? After all, we still have a score to settle, don't we?" "What account?" Jiang Bai asked, pretending to be confused. "Har har." Lei Lao, who suddenly laughed out loud, raised his hand and waved gently. Around the bar, a group of men in black appeared from nowhere. Each of the men in black held an AK in their hands, with the muzzle of the gun pointed directly at Jiang Bai and his group. Chapter 44. Goodbye Lei Lao. After we parted at the Art Hotel last time, I couldn't stop thinking about young Master Jiang. I am even more upset about young Master Jiang forcing me to bow my head with a gun. Today, I heard that young Master Jiang was coming, so I specially prepared a generous gift for him. I wonder how young Master Jiang feels when so many people are staring at him. Lei Lao said with a smile on his face. "I feel indescribably happy. Things will change over time. Today, it is finally his turn to get revenge." He just didn't believe that Jiang Bai would not lower his head when being pointed at by a gun. However, he was not going to let Jiang Bai go easily. He wanted to severely humiliate Jiang Bai, break Jiang Bai's arrogance, and calm the resentment in his heart. If possible, he would also like to record a video of Jiang Bai admitting his mistake. Prove to the global bosses that he, Lei Lao, is not a paper tiger. It's a pity that facing so many guns, no one on Jiang Bai's side showed any fear. Even the bodyguard behind Jiang Bai looked at Lei Lao with a joking look on his face. "Why?" Jiang Bai sighed, ignored the guns around him, and shook his head gently. "Lei Lao, why are you doing this? I'm here to discuss something with you. Why do you have to force me to use force? Young Master Jiang, do you still have the qualifications to use force? Today, we are not at the Art Hotel." Lei Lao said while looking at Jiang Bai with a smile. People who are familiar with Lei Lao know that the happier Lei Lao laughs, the sharper the knife behind him. Once Lei Lao smiles, the opponent will be skinned alive even if he doesn't die. Whether he is qualified to use force or not, Lei Lao, just take a look and you will know, right? Jiang Bai's words fell. The bodyguards behind him all unbuttoned the upper body of their suits. One high explosive bomb after another appeared in Lei Lao's eyes. Lei Lao's eyes suddenly widened, he took a breath, and looked at Jiang Bai in shock. He didn't expect Jiang Bai to be so cruel. He didn't come here to discuss things with him, he clearly came here to die with him. Each of the bombs they carried was enough to wipe out the entire bar. "And I have dozens of them here, Lei Lao, can we talk things over this time?" Jiang Bai looked at Lei Lao with a playful expression on his face, without any trace of nervousness in his words. It was as if the bombs tied to the bodyguards were toys. "Young Master Jiang, you are really courageous." After the shock, Lei Lao returned to normal and said unwillingly. He couldn't help but admire Jiang Bai's courage. If the bomb wasn't aimed at him, he would have wanted to give Jiang Bai a thumbs up. He has seen many desperados. But this was the first time he had seen a desperado like Jiang Bai, worth trillions of dollars. "You are too kind. If I were not prepared, how would I dare to come to your territory, Lei Lao?" Jiang Bai said this and waved to the bodyguards behind him. The bodyguards put their suits back on as if nothing that had just happened had happened. Seeing this, Lei Lao knew that he could not do anything to Jiang Bai today unless he really wanted to die together with Jiang Bai. He waved his hands to the many black-clad men around him and said, "All of you go down. You guys go wait for me at the door too." Jiang Bai waved away the bodyguards behind him. Only Fang Ling, our Fu, Tru and Baihua were left. After everyone leaves, only Jiang Bai and his 4 companions, as well as Lei Lao and the female bodyguard beside him were left in the bar. Looking at Jiang Bai, who was as steady as a rock, Lei Lao was the first to ask. "Young Master Jiang, what brings you here today? Could it be that you are here to see if I have the guts to die with you?" Jiang Bai smiled gently, pointed at the flowers behind him, and said, "I'm here to clear up any misunderstandings with you." "Europe." Lei Lao looked at Baihua's face, a murderous look flashed in his eyes, and he said sarcastically, "Young Master Jiang, the incident has already happened. I'm afraid it's a little late for you to resolve the misunderstanding now, right?" "It's not too late, it's not too late." Jiang Bai waved his hand and said, "At the Art Hotel, the reason why we had a misunderstanding was all because of this woman. I brought this woman here just to clear up the misunderstanding with you. It is better to resolve an enemy than to create one. There are no eternal friends, only eternal interests, right? When Bai Hua heard Jiang Bai's words, she was immediately panicked. Just as he was about to speak, our Fu beside him covered his mouth tightly. He could only stare at Jiang Bai with hatred. Before coming, he promised her that he would not hand her over to Lei Lao Hu. I wonder how Mr. Jiang wants to resolve this misunderstanding. Lei Lao Hu asked with a wry smile. He was forced to bow his head and apologize in front of so many people, completely losing face. Are you really taking him for a fool if you come to clear up the misunderstanding with him now? Bai Hua, you speak. Tell Lei Lao Hu what happened truthfully. Jiang Bai deliberately emphasized the word truthfully. Our Fu let go of Bai Hua's mouth and gave her a warning with his eyes. Aye. Bai Hua looked at Lei Lao Hu in fear, stammering, not knowing how to start. She didn't know what to say now. Should I tell the truth or do as Jiang Bai instructed? Sister, please be brave and tell me the reason. The president and boss Lei will definitely not make things difficult for you. Fang Ling grabbed Bai Hua's hand and comforted her softly. I said. Bai Hua suppressed the fear in her heart and said with a trembling body. The reason why I threw myself into our Fu's arms was because someone told me to do so. She asked me to stir up a conflict between Boss Lei and young Master Jiang. Only, if I succeed, she will give me $10 million. He. Lei Lao Hu sneered and looked at Jiang Bai Dao unkindly. Young Master Jiang, do you think I would believe what a bitch says? Jiang Bai shrugged lightly and said, Lei Lao Hu, you may not believe it, but I do. The person who ordered her is Mu Xue, my ex-fiancé. We grew up together, childhood sweethearts. But. As he spoke, hatred suddenly flashed in Jiang Bai's eyes. He looked at Lei Lao Hu with bloodshot eyes and gnashed his teeth. But she died. She took a large amount of sleeping pills and committed suicide. Lei Lao Hu spread his hands casually and said nonchalantly, Young Master Jiang, your ex-fiancé is dead. What does this have to do with me? Of course it does. Jiang Bai roared, pointed at Bai Hua, and said. She followed Mu Xue's instructions and came here to sow discord between you and me. Don't you want to know who is behind this, Mu Xue? You know, what happened at the Art Hotel was a conspiracy. Behind the conspiracy, there is a big hand controlling everything. He can manipulate you into conflict with me, or he can manipulate you into conflict with Prince Atte. Don't you want to find out the evil hands behind this? Are you going to let him trip you up from behind? Chapter 45 Black Network rewards Ye Tian. Lei Lao Hu was silent. I thought about Jiang Bai's words in my heart. The atmosphere suddenly fell into silence. Neither side spoke. Time passes by every second. I don't know how much time has passed. Lei Lao Hu suddenly clapped his hands. Great acting, young Master Jiang is not only courageous, but also has such great acting skills. The world's cinemas owe you, Mr. Jiang, an award for Best Actor. Lei Lao Hu, what do you mean? Jiang Bai stared at Lei Lao Hu with cold eyes. Lei Lao Hu touched his big bald head and said lightly. It's nothing. I just feel it's a shame that young Master Jiang doesn't become an actor. Jiang Bai slammed the table and stood up, angrily saying. Lei Lao Hu, do you think I'm acting with you? What else? Lei Lao Hu looked into Jiang Bai's eyes without avoiding. Master Jiang, I have eaten more salt than you have eaten rice. Don't use such a crude method to embarrass yourself. After Lei Lao Hu finished speaking, he stood up and was about to leave. Etc. Jiang Bai called out to Lei Lao Hu and stretched out his hand to think about it. If we calculate based on his average daily food intake of 2 kilograms, that's 60 kilograms a month. 730 kilograms a year. Lei Lao Hu's age is estimated to be about 50 years old, using 5,730. The final value is 36,500 kilograms. Then convert it down, it is 36.5 tons. Lei Lao Hu, you've eaten 36.5 tons of salt in your lifetime. Aren't you afraid that you'll choke to death? Jiang Bai said bluntly. It seemed as if a crow was flying over Lei Lao Hu's head. His originally calm and composed attitude suddenly became a little uncontrollable. A pair of shoulders began to twitch slightly. What he said was just some underworld talk. Used to mock Jiang Bai for being too young. Who would have thought that Jiang Bai would actually calculate it for him seriously? A surge of anger rose in Lei Lao's heart. Turning his head, he said in an unfriendly tone, "If young Master Jiang is here to settle accounts with me, then please go back." "Well, I'm actually here to discuss cooperation with you." Jiang Bai shrugged lightly. "How do you cooperate?" Lei Lao became curious, so he went back and sat down again. Jiang Bai stretched out his hand towards Fang Linger and said, "Linger, take out the things." "Yes, President." Fang Linger took out a photo of Ye Tian from her body and handed it to Jiang Bai. Jiang Bai didn't even look at the photo, he just put it on the table and pushed it to Lei Lao. "I want you to help me put a bounty on this man's life on the dark web." Lei Lao picked up the photo, looked at Ye Tian's ordinary and plain appearance, and frowned slightly. He couldn't understand what was so special about Ye Tian that Jiang Bai put a bounty on him on the black internet. You know, the dark web is the dark side of the world. In the dark web, gather killers, mercenaries, fugitives, and underworld forces from all over the world. Most of these people are cruel and merciless, and they forget their principles when they see profit. Once someone is wanted on the black web, if there is no big power behind him to protect him, he will surely die. Benefits, what benefits can I get? Lei Lao put down Ye Tian's photo and asked seriously. The world is bustling with people seeking profit. As long as Jiang Bai's stakes are high enough, he doesn't mind helping Jiang Bai. True, go to the car and get the things over. Jiang Bai said with confidence. True turned and walked away. After a while, he walked up to Jiang Bai carrying a black suitcase. Master Jiang, here's what you want. Good. Jiang Bai reached out to take the suitcase, put it on the table, and said to Lei Lao, "This is a 10 million deposit. After the matter is completed, there will be a reward of 10 million. Lei Lao looked at the suitcase and winked at the female bodyguard behind him. The female bodyguard walked forward and opened the suitcase with a swish. What caught my eye was a suitcase full of US dollars. A gleam of light flashed in Lei Lao's eyes, and he calmly buckled the suitcase and asked, "How much reward will young Master Jiang offer for this person?" Jiang Bai slowly stretched out a finger. 10 million. Lei Lao asked uncertainly. Jiang Bai shook his head gently. 100 million. Lei Lao then asked. 100 million pounds. Jiang Bai said with certainty. Hiss. Lei Lao gasped and looked at Jiang Bai in shock. 100 million pounds is approximately equal to more than 900 million yuan, or 159 billion Korean won. At this moment, Lei Lao suddenly felt that this matter was of great importance. The suitcase in my hand seemed a little hot. Although he didn't know the man in the photo, he was able to get Jiang Bai to pay such a high reward. This shows that the person in the photo is definitely not ordinary. He considered whether he should agree to Jiang Bai's request. Jiang Bai knew the concerns in Lei Lao's heart, and said confidently, "Lei Lao, you should understand. If it weren't for the inconvenience of our Jiang family posting a bounty on the black web, I wouldn't have come looking for you. As long as you help me post a reward, 20 million US dollars will be yours. Why not make money? What's more, your country H is controlled by chaebols. With the support of our Jiang family, your status in country H will also rise, right?" After hearing this, Lei Lao became even more silent. Thinking about the gains and losses in my mind. Money is good, but it is not worth it to offend people who should not be offended for money. Jiang Bai was not in a hurry and waited quietly for Lei Lao's response. His eyes glanced intentionally or unintentionally at the female bodyguard behind Lei Lao. Her beautiful long hair was tied behind her head. She was wearing a pair of tight black leather pants, which made her long legs look straight. She wore a small leather jacket on her upper body, exposing her belly button to the air. Give Jiang Bai a heroic aura. The female bodyguard noticed Jiang Bai's gaze and was looking at her intentionally or unintentionally. His eyes stared at Jiang Bai fiercely, as if warning Jiang Bai not to look around. Time passes by minute. Lei Lao didn't say a word. Jiang Bai's patience seemed to be exhausted, and he said impatiently, "Lei Lao, you are not the only one who can post a bounty on the black web. Since you don't dare to help me post the reward, I'll have to find someone else." True, pick up the boxes, let's go. Having said that, Jiang Bai stood up and was about to leave. True walked forward and was about to reach for the suitcase when a hand pressed on it. Lei Lao, who stared at Jiang Bai with his eyes, and said seriously, I can promise you. But you must tell me what is so special about this person in the photo that is worth such a high reward for you, young Master Jiang. Okay, no problem. Jiang Bai shrugged lightly and sat back in his seat. Looking at Lei Lao, he said sincerely, this man is extremely skilled. I have never seen anyone who can fight better than him. Just the female bodyguard next to you, he can beat 10 of them alone. As soon as he finished speaking, the female bodyguard beside Lei Lao became unhappy on the spot. As a bodyguard, what I fear most is others doubting my abilities. Without waiting for Lei Lao to speak, the female bodyguard asked directly, how good is he at fighting? I don't believe he can beat 10 of me by himself. Author S. Side note, I need all the data for my new book, please help me, big guys. Chapter 46, Conflict Caused by the Man with Tattoos. It happened in the blink of an eye. As soon as the female bodyguard finished speaking, she kicked towards Jiang Bai with her long legs. Master Jiang, be careful. Just as our Fu was about to take action, Jiang Bai waved his hand casually to stop him. When the female bodyguard's leg was about to kick Jiang Bai stretched out his hand and easily grasped the female bodyguard's ankle. Looking at the straight long legs, Jiang Bai couldn't help but tease. Such a straight leg. Are you interested in coming over and warming my bed? With this leg, I guarantee I can play for a year. You. The female bodyguard's face was filled with anger. She wanted to retract her long legs, but her ankles were held tightly by Jiang Bai. I could only stand there in a weird posture. Okay, that's enough. Who told you to do it without permission? Lei Lao, whose somewhat annoyed voice sounded. Jiang Bai casually let go of the female bodyguard's long legs and said jokingly, if you are interested someday, you can always come to me and do things for me. Don't even think about it. The female bodyguard glared at Jiang Bai, her eyes seemed to be spitting fire. All right. Lei Lao waved his hand to stop the female bodyguard, and said to Jiang Bai, young Master Jiang, I can help you post the reward. But after it's done, I want $30 million US. At most 20 million, no more. Jiang Bai said without question. Okay, 20 million. Lei Lao reached out and put the suitcase on the ground. It's been a pleasure working with you. A smile appeared on Jiang Bai's lips. Everything went much more smoothly than he had imagined. Now that the matter has been discussed, there is no point in staying any longer. Jiang Bai stood up and was about to leave with everyone. Young Master Jiang, wait a minute. I have a great gift for young Master Jiang. Lei Lao called out to Jiang Bai, with a sinister smile on his face. He raised his hands and clapped hard. Par par par. 3 rounds of applause fell. 2 men in black dragged a half-dead man from behind the bar towards Jiang Bai. Jiang Bai frowned slightly. He always felt that the man being dragged seemed familiar. Young Master Jiang, why don't you guess who this person is? Lei Lao said this while keeping the audience in suspense. Jiang Bai couldn't figure out what he was up to. Boss, this is the person you want. The 2 men in black threw the man to the ground and then stood behind Lei Lao. Young Master Jiang, do you know this person? Lei Lao asked with a smile. Jiang Bai nodded towards our Fu. Our Fu walked forward and lifted the man's head with his hands. A face covered in blood appeared in Jiang Bai's eyes. Man with flower arms. Why are you here? Jiang Bai exclaimed and instantly understood what Lei Lao meant. This is killing the chicken to scare the monkey, using the man with tattoos to warn him. How is it, young Master Jiang? Are you particularly excited to see an old acquaintance? Lei Lao said with a smile on his face. It's a bit exciting. He is the only person who has put a gun to my head and is still alive. It's really hard for him, let's give him a ride. Jiang Bai said expressionlessly, with an indescribable indifference in his tone. After hearing this, the man with tattoos began to tremble with fear. When Jiang Bai didn't respond, he hugged Jiang Bai's calves tightly with both hands and begged desperately. No, don't kill me. Master Jiang, please, save me. I don't want to die. Jiang Bai kicked the man with tattoos away and said condescendingly. Where's your arrogance when you pointed a gun at my head? Are you begging me now? Master Jiang, I was wrong before. I beg you to save me. The man with tattoos crawled to Jiang Bai's feet. His only hope now is Jiang Bai. As long as Jiang Bai saves him, he will definitely be able to leave here alive. No one knows what kind of torture he has suffered in the past 2 days. Jiang Bai took a step back, looked at the man with tattoos with disgust, and turned to Lei Lao and said, Lei Lao, since you have captured this man, his life and death is in your hands. After saying that, Jiang Bai led his men out of the bar. Lei Lao looked at Jiang Bai's back with a dazed look in his eyes. He originally wanted to use the man with tattoos to warn Jiang Bai that he, Lei Lao, was not someone to be trifled with. Who would have thought that Jiang Bai was even more ruthless than him and threatened to kill the man with tattooed arms right away? Seeing Jiang Bai was about to leave, the man with the tattooed arms shouted desperately, Master Jiang, you can't leave. I know where Ye Tian is. As long as you save me, I will tell you where Ye Tian is. Ye Tian? Jiang Bai stopped walking and a fierce light flashed in his eyes. Since Ye Tian was deported, he has never heard any news about Ye Tian. He had no idea where Ye Tian was or what he was doing. Even the plot of the novel that he was familiar with had changed with the death of the Mu group and Tang Long. Now all he could rely on were the various major events in the book and the opportunity to know Ye Tian well. When the man with the tattooed arms saw Jiang Bai stop, a glimmer of hope rose in his eyes, and he swallowed nervously and said, Mr. Jiang, as long as you save me, I will tell you where Ye Tian is. Where is Ye Tian? Jiang Bai turned his head and asked coldly. The man with tattoos kept his mouth shut and remained silent. He knew that all his hopes rested on this message. This is also the only way for him to get out alive. Jiang Bai knew what the tattooed man was thinking, so he turned around and looked at Lei Lao and said, Lei Lao, I'm taking this person away. Is that okay with you? A gleam of light flashed in Lei Lao's eyes. He is not a fool either. He knew in his heart that Ye Tian, whom the man with tattoos mentioned, must be very important to Jiang Bai. Perhaps it could be used as a bargaining chip to threaten Jiang Bai. Immediately, he showed an embarrassed look on his face and spoke slowly. Young Master Jiang, if you normally take someone away, I naturally have no objection. However, this person is still of some use to me, so I'm afraid I can't let you take him away. Thunder Tiger. Jiang Bai's face darkened. Didn't he know that Lei Lao wanted to raise the price? Lei Lao ignored Jiang Bai's expression and touched his big bald head innocently. Young Master Jiang, if you have nothing else, please leave. By the way, the woman you brought today was once mine. I will reluctantly give her to young Master Jiang. After saying that, Lei Lao waved his hand, and the two men in black took the man with tattoos away. Lei Lao, you are playing with fire. Afu, leave the person here for me. As soon as Jiang Bai finished speaking, Arfu rushed towards the two men in black. Tornado destroyed parking lot. The female bodyguard next to Lei Lao wanted to step forward to stop Arfu. But considering Lei Lao's safety, he kept it to himself. Young Master Jiang. You still want to take people away from me by force, right? Lei Lao's face also darkened. As he raised his hand, a large group of men in black came out from behind the bar. The more Jiang Bai wanted to take the man with tattooed arms away, the more it showed how important he was. Lei Lao couldn't let Jiang Bai take the person away. This person will be an important bargaining chip for him to threaten Jiang Bai. Chapter 47, Capturing Lei Lao alive, showing his skills for the first time. Lei Lao, do you really want to stop me from taking this person away? Jiang Bai's pupils turned cold, and his eyes revealed a strong murderous intent. I'm sorry, Mr. Jiang, this person is still of some use to me. Lei Lao said without giving in. He. Jiang Bai sneered and walked towards Lei Lao step by step. He looked at Lei Lao with cold eyes and said, Lei Lao, greed is like a snake swallowing an elephant. Sometimes, the price to pay for doing the wrong thing is not small. Lei Lao disagreed and said, Young Master Jiang, are you threatening me? Believe me or not, you can't leave this bar. You can try it. Jiang Bai said with a frosty face. Come on, all of them. Lei Lao waved his hand, and a dense group of men in black rushed towards Jiang Bai and his four companions. They had no weapons in their hands. Obviously, Lei Lao who didn't dare to use this opportunity to kill Jiang Bai. A war is about to break out. True, take good care of Linger. Jiang Bai shouted loudly and ran straight towards Lei Lao who. He still understands the principle of capturing the leader first. If you want to touch my boss, you have to get past me first. The female bodyguard stood in front of Lei Lao who, staring at Jiang Bai with a fierce look. She did not forget the scene when Jiang Bai flirted with her before. Under new and old grudges. The female bodyguard kicked Jiang Bai's right face sideways with her right foot without mercy. There was a vague idea that Jiang Bai was going to have plastic surgery. You are no match for me. Jiang Bai dodged the female bodyguard's attack by moving sideways. He seized the opportunity with his right hand and directly grabbed the female bodyguard's ankle. Then he exerted force with his hands, spun around, threw the female bodyguard onto the booth behind him, and ran straight towards Lei Lao who. When Lei Lao who saw that the female bodyguard failed to stop Jiang Bai's attack, he was horrified and turned around and ran away. Seeing this, Jiang Bai took 2 quick steps and caught up with him. He quickly grabbed the back of Lei Lao who's collar with his right hand and pulled it back with force. Lei Lao who, why are you running? Jiang Bai looked at Lei Lao who with a joking expression. Why? Lei Lao who let out a long sigh. He didn't expect Jiang Bai's skills to be so good that he could kill his bodyguard in 1 round. Tell your people to stop. Jiang Bai grabbed Lei Lao who in his hand like he was catching a chicken. Lei Lao who did not follow Jiang Bai's instructions and ask his men to stop. Instead, he turned his head and looked at Jiang Bai fearlessly. Young Master Jiang, I underestimated you. But do you dare to touch me? Do you think I don't dare? Jiang Bai narrowed his eyes and said with murderous intent in his eyes. If you touch me, you can't leave this bar. How about we sit down and talk? He. A sneer appeared on Jiang Bai's lips. He stretched out his hand and tapped Lei Lao who's bald head, making his brain pop. I'm going to touch you, what can you do to me? While speaking, Jiang Bai played the piano again. Dong dong, like knocking on a watermelon. Jiang Bai couldn't help but think of that classic line. Boss, are your melons ripe? Jiang Bai. Do you really think I dare not kill you? Lei Lao who shouted angrily. Shame. What a shame. Think of Lei Lao who is well known in the underworld of Country H and is a powerful figure. Many people were so frightened and trembling when they saw him that they dared not even breathe. Now, he was shot in the brain by Jiang Bai. If this gets out, how can he survive in the underworld? At this moment, Lei Lao who was filled with murderous intent. I wish I could grind Jiang Bai to dust. Kill me. Jiang Bai sneered, looked at Lei Lao who with a haughty expression and said. I'll lend you a courage, do you dare? Your country H is controlled by chaebols, and you so-called underworld forces are nothing in front of the chaebols. Our Jiang group is one of the largest groups in the world. If you dare to attack me, we in the Jiang family won't dare to make big promises. We still have the strength to make your country HS economy regress by 20 years. Let me ask you, with Jiang's power being so great, do you dare to touch me? Lei Lao who fell into deep thought. After hearing what Jiang Bai said, he was a little scared and didn't dare to touch Jiang Bai easily. Once he touches Jiang Bai and provokes Jiang's wrath, the consequences will be something he cannot bear. He will be spurned by the people of H country, thus losing his original status. Sometimes, people need to be self-aware. Don't have thoughts that you shouldn't have. Are you right? Lei Lao who? Jiang Bai said with a sneer on his face. He knew exactly what Lei Lao who was thinking. They just want to find something to hold against him and use it to blackmail him. How could he fulfill Lei Lao who's wish? Anyone who dares to threaten him will have only one fate, and that is to face his wrath. Think of this. Jiang Bai pulled out a gun from his waist and fired 2 shots at the ceiling. Then he pointed his gun at Lei Lao who and shouted loudly to all around. Stop it, everyone. Otherwise, I'll shoot him to death. After hearing this, Lei Lao who's men, Afu and Tru stopped attacking and looked at Jiang Bai. Boss. The female bodyguard shouted anxiously, wanting to move her body but not daring to act rashly. He was afraid that Jiang Bai would get angry and shoot Lei Lao who to death. Don't move. Jiang Bai carried Lei Lao who and walked towards Fang Linger step by step. Just then, footsteps were heard at the door of the bar. Jiang Bai's bodyguards heard the noise and ran in quickly. Looking at the densely packed crowd in the bar, the bodyguards quickly pulled out their pistols and protected Jiang Bai behind them. "Our Fu, take the man with the tattoos, let's retreat," Jiang Bai said confidently. Our Fu ignored the people around Lei Lao and strode up to the man with tattoos. He reached out and picked up the man with tattoos, then turned and walked towards Jiang Bai. During the whole process, no one came out to stop it. Even Lei Lao, who kept silent and pretended he saw nothing. Who made him Jiang Bai's hostage now? Last time at the Art Hotel, he was pointed a gun at his head by Jiang Bai's men because of the shortage of manpower. This time, on his territory, he was still pointed at by Jiang Bai with a gun. Lei Lao felt a sense of powerlessness in his heart. He couldn't figure out which link had gone wrong. This resulted in him being threatened by Jiang Bai twice. "Let's retreat." After our Fu came over carrying the man with tattoos, Jiang Bai turned around and walked out of the bar. "Put down our boss." The female bodyguard took 2 quick steps and shouted loudly. Jiang Bai stopped walking, turned his head and looked at the curvy figure of the female bodyguard, with an unknown meaning flashing in his eyes. He said indifferently, "If you want me to let him go, give yourself in exchange." He didn't know why, but he had a sudden feeling towards the female bodyguard. "I always feel that the female bodyguard will play a certain role in his future." "You." Anger flashed in the female bodyguard's eyes, and she looked at Jiang Bai angrily. In her eyes, Jiang Bai is a wolf. A pervert in sheep's clothing. Even his gaze was filled with lust. "Damn it, is this a common problem among you rich second generations?" The female bodyguard thought indignantly. She is absolutely confident about her figure. After more than 10 years of professional training, she still has little weight on her body. The places where they should be convex are convex, and the places where they should be curved are curved. Chapter 48 Forced Entry. "Why are you standing there? Come here. Don't you want to save your boss?" Jiang Bai shouted impatiently. The anger in the female bodyguard's eyes grew more intense. He wished he could tear Jiang Bai into pieces with his eyes. "It seems that you don't want to save Lei Lao. Okay, no problem." Jiang Bai made a gesture, turned around and left with Lei Lao without any hesitation. The female bodyguard looked at Jiang Bai's back, bit her lip, and said ruthlessly, "Wait, let me change." Under everyone's gaze, the female bodyguard walked towards Jiang Bai step by step. "Tie her up," Jiang Bai said jokingly. True took out a rope and walked towards the female bodyguard. "You." The female bodyguard looked at Jiang Bai indignantly, her eyes seemed to be spitting fire. "Cooperate with me. True is very fast." In a few quick moves, he tied the female bodyguard's hands behind her back and took her to Jiang Bai. "You have a good bodyguard, very loyal." Jiang Bai let go of Lei Lao and led his men out of the bar. He never thought about what to do to Lei Lao from the beginning. Even Lei Lao is the same. With their wealth, they seldom do anything serious unless there is a major conflict of interest. Unless the other person is a fool and has a straightforward temper. But, can a fool become a big boss? Lei Lao looked at Jiang Bai's gradually receding back, feeling unwilling. He knew he had lost again. Fortunately, there were no outsiders around, so no one saw him being hit in the head by Jiang Bai. "Boss, are you okay?" A man in black quickly ran up and showed great courtesy to Lei Lao. Bang! Lei Lao slapped the man in black in the face and said fiercely, "I was kidnapped. Do you think I'm okay? Waste, you are a bunch of waste." After saying that, Lei Lao turned around and left without even glancing at the men in black around him. The man in black covered his face, feeling aggrieved, and quickly followed Lei Lao. Outside the hotel, dozens of little golden men came on. Fang Ling asked in confusion, "Boss, we have had a conflict with Lei Lao. Will he still help us put a bounty on Ye Tian?" Jiang Bai smiled slightly and said confidently, "I will. Not only will he help us, but he will also act as if nothing happened." "Oh? Why is that?" Fang Ling became more and more confused. If she were Lei Lao, she would be very angry now and would definitely not help Jiang Bai. "Pattern. Ling, you have to remember this. Wealth moves people's hearts, and money can make the devil work. If someone is not tempted by immediate benefits, it's not because he is so noble, but because he doesn't have enough bargaining chips. The little golden man stopped at the entrance of the hotel while Jiang Bai was talking. Jiang Bai dismissed the bodyguards around him and walked towards the suite with the female bodyguard. "Let me go, I will walk on my own." The female bodyguard broke free from Jiang Bai's restraints and said angrily. Outside the suite, Jiang Bai asked Fang Ling and others to wait outside the door, and walked in alone with the female bodyguard. He reached out, threw the female bodyguard on the bed, and leaned over. "What are you doing? Don't mess around." The female bodyguard looked at Jiang Bai in horror, her body trembling. She knew that Jiang Bai was not a good person. "I had just returned to the hotel and I couldn't wait to possess her body. I warn you, if you dare to force your way in, I will definitely kill you." The female bodyguard shouted with bloodshot eyes. "Turn around." Jiang Bai turned the female bodyguard around so that her back was facing him. "Asshole, you actually want to use such a shameful posture?" the female bodyguard said through gritted teeth. Her pretty face turned red, and I don't know if it was because she was angry or shy. "You have a really dirty mind. I'm just helping you untie it." Jiang Bai looked at the female bodyguard with a smile in his eyes and reached out to untie the ropes that bound the female bodyguard. He admitted that the female bodyguard did have a great figure and appearance. But he wouldn't let him take advantage of him. The female bodyguard's face turned red. Thinking about what I just said, I suddenly felt ashamed. I wish I could find a crack in the ground to crawl into. In a rage, he slapped Jiang Bai in the face. He said viciously, "You bastard." Jiang Bai reached out and grabbed the female bodyguard's wrist, then pushed her hard onto the bed. He said solemnly, "If I'm not mistaken, your real name is Suwana, right?" How did you know that?" Suwana's eyes flashed with hostility, and she looked at Jiang Bai in shock. She didn't remember knowing Jiang Bai before. Besides, she hasn't used the name Suwana for a long time. There are no more than 3 people in the world who know this name. "It's you, Suwana," Jiang Bai said with a serious face. When he saw Suwana for the first time, I felt that Suwana's outfit looked somewhat familiar. He didn't think much about it at the time. Don't all female bodyguards dress the same, tight pants and leather jackets? The more he looked at Suwana, the more familiar she seemed to him. In my mind, I couldn't help but think of a female character in the book, that is Suwana. If Fang Ling is the first female supporting character in the book who has a bad ending, Suwana is the second. In the original book, Suwana has a very awesome brother, Jiang. This Jiang is a ruthless person. He is the leader of the Black Bear mercenary group. In the ranking of global mercenary groups, it ranks only one place lower than Ye Tian's Bingshenying. The first in the Bingshen camp. The Black Bear mercenary group is second. Because the Black Bear mercenaries were unwilling to accept the suppression of the Bingshen camp, the relationship between them became increasingly strained. Finally, by chance, both parties received the same task. Then they argued and started fighting. A war broke out between the two mercenary groups. In the end, the Black Bear mercenary group was defeated by the protagonist's halo and was destroyed by Ye Tian. Jiang was beaten to death by Ye Tian himself. When Suwana heard the cause of Jiang's death, she wanted to avenge her brother, but also died at Ye Tian's hands. "You have no interest in working with me." Jiang Bai changed his mind and asked Suwana. "The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Don't even think about it." Suwana looked at Jiang Bai with hatred and vigilance in her eyes. "Don't be so quick to refuse. However much money Lei Lao who gives you, I will give you 3 times as much," Jiang Bai said with certainty. Suwana was slightly moved. Lei Lao who paid her $1 million a year. If she agreed to Jiang Bai, her annual salary would be $3 million. If 3 times is not enough, I'll give you 5 times, how about that? Jiang Bai looked at Suwana with a smile, waiting for her answer. He knew Suwana would definitely agree. Because she was short of money. Don't think that her brother is rich just because he is the second-ranked mercenary leader in the world. On the contrary, they are poor. As a mercenary group, they need a lot of money to buy equipment and gather intelligence. If you just buy equipment, you will be a big spender. Not to mention the situation where team members die or get injured after the mission. All of this requires a lot of money. In the original book, Ye Tian returned to the city because he was short of money. With the help of the Mu group, he devoured the blood of the Jiang family bit by bit and expanded the Bingshan camp. Chapter 49 Ye Tian appears. The maximum is 5 times, no more. If you continue like this, you will have to sleep with me. Seeing that Su Wan'er had not responded yet, Jiang Bai said frivolously. Okay, I agree to work for you, and the salary will be 5 times. Su Wan'er thought for a moment and agreed immediately. Can. Jiang Bai shrugged lightly, turned around and walked out of the suite. Looking at Jiang Bai's back, Su Wan'er's eyes flashed with an ambiguous light. Then he followed Jiang Bai out of the suite. Where's the man with the flower arms? Bring the man with the flower arms here. In the suite, Jiang Bai sat on the sofa and asked. Our Fu, who was standing behind him, turned around and left after hearing Jiang Bai's words. After a while, our Fu brought the man with tattoos covered in blood to Jiang Bai. Master Jiang, how about you let me go? The man with tattoos on his arms lay on the ground, begging Jiang Bai desperately. I'll just ask you once, where is Ye Tian now? Jiang Bai asked condescendingly. There was no emotion in her eyes as she looked at the man with tattoos. He is in Las Vegas, working as a bodyguard for the eldest daughter of the Liu family. The man with tattoos said tremblingly. From time to time, he glanced at Jiang Bai cautiously. Gambling city, Liu family. Jiang Bai knew clearly that the Liu family had replaced the Mu family. If he destroys the Mu family, the Liu family will rise up. If you get rid of the Liu family, another family will emerge. As long as Ye Tian is alive, the crisis of their Jiang family will never be resolved. In all novel settings, anyone associated with the protagonist will have only 2 possible outcomes. The first one is to join the protagonist. Women serve as the protagonist's harem, while men serve as his younger brothers. The second one is that the family is destroyed and no one is left. There is no other choice. Ye Tian, it's time to see you again. You want to take off with the help of the Liu family, but I won't let you do that. Jiang Bai narrowed his eyes and thought truthfully in his heart. Boss, do you want to go to Las Vegas? Fang Ling guessed what Jiang Bai was thinking and asked uncertainly. Jiang Bai nodded gently, with an embarrassed look on his face. When he thought of Zhao Wudan's death, he felt quite helpless. Plans cannot keep up with changes. He wanted to snatch the golden scepter. Who would have thought that Zhao Wudan was killed before he even walked out of the art hotel? The golden scepter also disappeared. It's really a failure. Then go ahead, I'm here. Fang Ling looked at Jiang Bai and said with a firm expression. She is not of ours, on the contrary she is very smart. The fact that she was able to graduate from a third-rate university and become Jiang Bai's secretary was enough to show her intelligence. She could also guess what Jiang Bai was thinking and worrying about. You? Jiang Bai looked at Fang Ling with some uncertainty. Fang Ling nodded firmly and said, President, don't worry. When you come back from the casino, I will definitely give you the golden scepter. Jiang Bai was silent. He began to think in his heart whether he should let Fang Ling stay alone in the capital of Atte. Boss, I'm not of ours. I can do it. Seeing that Jiang Bai was a little hesitant, Fang Ling said firmly. Jiang Bai didn't speak immediately. The atmosphere fell into silence. After a long time, after some careful consideration, Jiang Bai nodded and said, Okay, just protect yourself first. I'll leave Alfu and True to protect you. A blooming smile appeared on Fang Ling's face. She was happy that she could help Jiang Bai. That afternoon, a private plane left the capital of Athens and flew directly to Las Vegas. I can do it. On the ground, Fang Ling looked at the plane in the distance and secretly encouraged herself. She will definitely be able to find the golden scepter for Jiang Bai. Madam, let's go. True and Afu stood on the left and right behind Fang Ling. It's not that Jiang Bai didn't find a few female bodyguards for Fang Ling. But he doesn't trust anyone except Tohru and Afu. He didn't even trust Su Wan'er who was by his side. Their heart is hidden. No one knows what other people are thinking. A private plane flew by. By the time we landed at the Las Vegas airport, it was almost dusk. Let's go, my female bodyguard. Jiang Bai spoke to Su Wan'er expressionlessly and walked off the plane. Outside the plane, a convoy was already waiting for Jiang Bai. Looking at the dozens of little golden men in front of her, Su Wan'er was shocked. private jets and dozens of luxury cars. Is this the power of capitalists? Let's go, don't just stand there, let's go directly to Liu's house. When Jiang Bai was on his way to Liu's house, the Liu's family was holding a large banquet. The guests who came were all upper-class people in the casino. Ye Tian was wearing a security uniform, looking at the ladies unscrupulously. From time to time, a bright light flashed in his eyes, as if he was looking for prey. Ye Tian, our Liu family will have a distinguished guest coming later, please go to the gate and keep an eye on him for me. The eldest lady of the Liu family, Liu Ruyu, walked over and said. Okay, Ruyu. Ye Tian agreed kindly. Although he was reluctant to go to the gate, he still had a smile on his face and walked towards it. The cold wind was blowing at the gate, which was no match for him in the banquet hall, watching the famous ladies coming and going. But in order to win over Liu Ruyu, he could only smile. Liu Ruyu didn't feel any aversion to Ye Tian's affectionate address. On the contrary, I felt a little secretly happy inside. Ye Tian gave her a very good first impression. Although Ye Tian looks ordinary, he is calm and composed, with a sharp gaze. The most important thing is to be responsible. He exuded a domineering aura, which made her feel particularly safe. Liu Ruyu felt particularly happy getting along with Ye Tian. Everyone, our Liu family will have a distinguished guest coming later. I'd like to apologize in advance. If there is any inadequacy in the hospitality later, please forgive me. The old man of the Liu family said as he sat at the first seat in the banquet hall. He was supposed to appear last. But in order to show respect to the distinguished guest, he walked to the front in advance. Distinguished guest. Ye Tian at the gate curled his lips in disdain. He didn't think that there was any guest more valuable than him. As long as he reveals his true identity, it will shock everyone in the audience. Time passes by every second. The wind was getting stronger at night, and there was a chill everywhere. Ye Tian was standing at the gate, but he didn't see the so-called distinguished guest coming. He thought of the graceful figures in the banquet hall, and in his heart he sent greetings to the guests' parents. Others were drinking fine wine and hugging their daughters in their hall, but he was left here in the cold. At this moment, Ye Tian felt a little dissatisfied with Liu Ruyu. Anyone can do the job of guarding the door, but why did they have to ask Ye Tian to do it? If this so-called distinguished guest didn't come, would he have to stand at the gate all night? Chapter 50. Ye Tian, the gatekeeper. No. I have to find a way. There are so many beauties waiting for me in the banquet hall. Ye Tian's eyeballs began to spin rapidly, making a gurgling sound. I was thinking about how to escape from the door. At this moment, car lights shone from a distance. More than a dozen cars with little golden men drove in a neat row towards the Liu family's gate. Here you are finally here. A smile appeared on Ye Tian's lips. Looking at the convoy getting closer and closer, Ye Tian did not report to Liu Ruyu immediately. You made me wait for so long, so I'll let you wait a while. Before Ye Tian knew it, he reached out to close the Liu family's door and locked it. After doing all this, Ye Tian hid not far behind the door. He would wait until the people in the car became impatient before coming over to open the door. To avenge the harm done to him by Chulengfeng. As Ye Tian expected, the convoy stopped in front of the Liu family's gate. A bodyguard got out of the car and looked at the locked door, frowning slightly. Then, under Ye Tian's gaze, a straight, long leg stepped down from the car. Such long, such straight legs. There was a flash of surprise in Ye Tian's eyes, and he stared at the long legs intently. He has thought it through. When the owner of the long legs gets impatient, he immediately jumped out and opened the door of Liu's house for him. In this way, he might even win the favor of the beautiful woman. Isn't the Liu family holding a banquet? Why is it locked? Suwana looked at the lock on the gate, frowned, and turned to walk towards the car where Jiang Bai was. Locked. Jiang Bai felt a little unbelievable. He had just spoken to the old man of the Liu family on the phone on the way, and everything had been agreed upon. Even if the Liu family did not welcome him, they would pretend to obey. There is no reason to lock the door and keep him out. Could it be that we took the wrong road? Jiang Bai thought to himself and took out his cell phone to look for navigation. There is no deviation between the destination on the map and his current location. Jiang Bai was stunned. I couldn't understand what the Liu family was doing. As for calling to ask, stop talking nonsense. He was the eldest son of the Jiang family, but he was turned away and had to humble himself to make a phone call. Doesn't he, Jiang Bai, have any face? You can't come in, this is what happens when you make me feel cold. Behind the door, Ye Tian's mouth corners slightly raised, revealing a gloating smile. Boss, what should we do next? Should we go home? Suwana asked while standing in front of the car. Since the Liu family doesn't welcome us, let's go back home first. Jiang Bai said without showing any emotion. He originally wanted to come to the Liu family to meet Ye Tian. Since the owner of the Liu family didn't let him in, he couldn't force his way in. After hearing this, Suwana got in the car and the convoy began to slowly turn around. Seeing this, Ye Tian knew it was time for him to appear. He quickly jumped out from behind the door and shouted loudly. Are you here to attend the Liu family banquet? I'll open the door for you right now. Boss, shall we go into the Liu family? Suwana asked. Jiang Bai was about to say he couldn't go in when he suddenly felt the security guard's voice was familiar. Following the light of the car, Ye Tian's arrogant face came into his eyes. In Ye Tian's opinion, it was a great blessing that he could open the door for the convoy in front of him. If he was a little bit worse, he would not open the door for the convoy. If we miss the Liu family's banquet, the only thing we will lose will be the convoy in front of us. I have to say that the protagonist always feels good about himself. There is a kind of arrogance that looks down on everyone in the world. Okay, the door is open, you can come in. Ye Tian shouted coldly. After saying that, he turned around and looked at the convoy, especially Suwana. This is his routine. After his many years of experience in hunting for beautiful women, the more beautiful a woman is, the more suitors she has, and the more arrogant she becomes. When dealing with a woman like this, the more you surround her and pursue her, the less effective it will be. Only by being disdainful of her and trampling their pride on the ground can she attract their attention. He has tried this trick over and over again. The eldest daughter of the Liu family was conquered by this trick of his. Boss, isn't this security guard the one you asked Lei Lao who to put a bounty on the black internet? Suwana looked at Ye Tian with murderous eyes. That's 100 million. With such a large sum of money, it is enough to support her brother's mercenary group for a period of time. Suwana, believe it or not, Ye Tian is thinking about how to seduce you right now. Jiang Bai said to Suwana with a smirk on his face. Humph, I'm only interested in his head now. Suwana snorted coldly and said murderously. Come on, I'll take you to meet him. Jiang Bai reached out and held Suwana's hand, then walked out of the car gracefully. As soon as he got out of the car, he put his right hand around Suwana's waist. There was a hint of unnaturalness in Suwana's eyes, but she didn't object. Hey, isn't this Marshal Yi? How did Marshal Yi end up being a security guard and guarding the gate? Jiang Bai said sarcastically. Ye Tian was immediately shocked, and he couldn't believe it. Jiang Bai, why are you here? When enemies meet, they are particularly jealous of each other. Ye Tian's cold expression disappeared, and he looked at Jiang Bai with hatred in his eyes. He will never forget the incident at Yalan community. It was because of Jiang Bai's call to the police that he was deported. The power that he had accumulated with great difficulty was also destroyed with his departure. Some died and some went crazy. Marshal Yi from the Godly Army camp is actually guarding the gate for others here. Aren't you afraid of being embarrassed if you tell others about it? Jiang Bai said intentionally or unintentionally. Suwana beside him exclaimed, pointed at Ye Tian, and asked in disbelief. What? Boss, are you saying that he is the leader of the Bingshan camp, Marshal Yi? Guaranteed authenticity. Jiang Bai nodded gently. Ye Tian on the side showed a proud expression. He really liked Suwana's surprised voice. Especially when she looked at him, the look of admiration in her eyes. The casino is not the country. Even if his true identity is exposed, it's no big deal. He even hoped that Jiang Bai would reveal his identity so that more ladies would notice him. After the shock, Suwana appeared calm on the surface, but a strong murderous intent emerged in her heart. She knew about the feud between the Bingshan camp and the Black Bear mercenary group. The two sides are as hostile as water and fire. The kind of hatred that makes you wish the other person would die. Come on, let's go in and join the party. Jiang Bai put his arm around Suwana's waist and walked towards the Liu family's banquet hall. His goal has been achieved. He just wanted Suwana to know Ye Tian's true identity. Then notify Sudaqiang and send someone to kill Ye Tian. If it wasn't for this purpose, Why would he bring Su Wanner to the banquet? Wait, you're not going in. Ye Tian suddenly stretched out his hand to stop Jiang Bai and said. A good dog doesn't block the road. Marshal Yi, you wouldn't be so great as to not understand this principle, right? Jiang Bai said sarcastically. Su Wanner, who was beside her, smiled. She finally figured out that Jiang Bai also had a grudge against Ye Tian. Ye Tian was indifferent to Jiang Bai's ridicule and said meticulously. Please show me your invitation, Mr. Jiang. Only with the invitation can I let you in. Jiang Bai smiled slightly. He knew that Ye Tian was trying to make things difficult for him on purpose. The Liu family sent invitations to all the guests in advance. But since he only notified the Liu family halfway, he did not have an invitation.